Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, February 23rd. We have a great show planned for you tonight, a lot of stuff going on. I do want to take the time to send out libations to our brother Al Jarreau. He transitioned last week. I wasn't able to play his some of his great music that he left for us last week because of technical difficulties. So I do want to send out libations to Brother Al Jarreau, who transitioned last week. Okay, so with that said, family, we have a lot going on tonight. We are going to finish up where we left off last week with beautiful Mama Earth. I'm really excited about this particular show. We got into a lot of stuff last week. It is definitely long overdue with me dedicating a show to Mama Earth. So this is part 2 of beautiful Mama Earth, her story, her legacy, and our connection to her. So before we get started, we do have a lot of stuff jumping off in the news. Woo, it's been a really interesting week. So I'm going to bring Brother Wendell on. Let me see. I know I saw him on the board here. Maybe he dropped off. I've been seeing people drop on and off. So I'll give him a chance to get back on. I thought I saw him. But, okay, I'll give him a chance to chime back in. We'll go ahead and get started. I know I saw him. Okay, so let's start off with, I posted it on Truth Uncompromised Facebook page yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. It was yesterday. Never a Straight Answer, also known as NASA, actually did a live press conference yesterday. Well, if you want to call it a press conference, they did a live streaming, and I was actually able to watch it live from their website page. Now, here's the tripped out part about it. What the live conference was about, it literally was about them making an announcement about finding exoplanets. Okay, there's Brother Wendell. Let me bring him in before I go in, because I know he gonna want to put a couple of cents on this. So let me bring in Brother Wendell. Brother Wendell?
Yes.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
There's some things jumping on, baby. Some things jumping on.
Ain't it? I was finna go on in the little Never a Straight Answer story, and I saw you pop back on the boards. I said, you know what? Before I go in, let me get him up on these boards, because we got a lot of stuff to go in. So I was telling the family, they stank asses had a live web conference yesterday,
yeah.
And I was actually able, to catch it live. Now they gonna sit up and admit that there are exoplanets. So in other words, another whole solar system. Okay, so first of all, when I saw the announcement that it was coming on, that they was going to do this little press conference or whatever the hell you want to call it, I
Yeah.
said, first of all, we've been knowing about this. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
So now y'all wants to hold a special little press conference admitting there's a separate solar system. Now, we've been reporting on this 2 years easily on this show.
Yeah.
So they started off by saying it's 9 planets in this solar system. It has its own sun, and they said 1 moon. So now we know they kind of lying about that because we heard other folks say there's a binary sun, so meaning 2 suns, as well as several moons, because some of those planets have moons associated with them also. Okay.
Yeah.
So they started off lying through their teeth with that. So they're saying they found 9 planets. 7 of the planets, what are they saying? No, I'm sorry, they're saying 3 of the planets are habitable.
Yeah.
And then, so, you know, they claim that they could tell that the kind of judge the planet's atmosphere by looking at it through, by looking at the atmosphere through a telescope.
Yeah.
So, you know, when they started taking their scripted questions, because as if you know, if it was all the way live, I sure would have called in and clowned and performed and put them on the spot. But, you know, they had their little scripted questions ready. So people started asking them about, did they find water on any of the planets? They had the nerve to say no. So I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, so then how are they habitable if you found no water? See, I done straight busted you in the lie right there. So the other thing that they said that was a bold-faced lie was that this solar system that they found is 40 light years away from us, where we've been reporting over the last 2 years coming out of other scientific journals where they have reported that this extra solar system, number 1, is right outside of Pluto, and number 2, that it's 4 light years away, and that it has that it is habitable. So they were basically claiming in the little press conference that they're going to keep looking at these planets, but pretty much the gist of it was that the public needs to be prepared that they will find other life forms. So, in my opinion, this is their soft disclosure about the Nibiru solar system. So that is what they're calling that Nibiru solar system, exoplanet. So they're prepping the public. They already told you they didn't found this solar system that they're calling exoplanet. They have so many, 3 planets that are habitable, and that they're still looking at them, and they're looking for other life forms that may exist on those planets. So that's my opinion. So I'll pause in case you want to put something on.
Well, see, everything got to come out.
Exactly.
You know, they trying to ease it in, but you might as well go and get it over with.
Right, because it's getting harder and harder for them to cover up that solar system.
No, you can't cover it up when you got 500,000 folks out here that got their own equipment that's on it every day.
Exactly, because somebody on my Facebook that I'm associated with on Facebook, he just straight went out there, took a picture of his camera of the sun, and you could clearly see just with his camera, you could see another sun, and you could see 2 other planets.
Yeah.
Like right behind that sun. So yeah, they don't have any choice but to start soft disclosing this stuff. So just pay attention, family, when you hear them talking about these exoplanets and, such and so is habitable, and even the rendition of the particular solar system that they showed two of those planets. They kind of mocked it up to look exactly like Earth. So they're there, and then one of them was similar to Jupiter. Now, they weren't really specific on the size of the planets. They kind of made mention that one of the planets was, I think they said, double the size of Earth. So I found that odd that they weren't going through giving us the size of the rest of the planets, because usually they do that. So that lets me know that they were kind of steering away from telling us that, one of the planet is 10 times the size, because they know folks that are tracking the Nibiru solar system would say, that's it. So just pay attention. I truly believe that they're going to start mentioning even more stuff publicly about those exoplanets.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that's going on in the news, let me see where, where we're going to start. Trump card has been off the chain. I've been kind of chuckling to myself. He's still making a lot of moves with this immigration stuff. Now, we talked about this for the past couple weeks, that, Trump card is the type that he's going to play both roles. So meaning he's going to play the role of, quote, quote, for the people, making things right, and then he's going to play the role of following protocol. So, my opinion is I personally wouldn't put too much stock in him as a savior, but I would watch what he does, because he's definitely playing his part in fulfilling a prophecy. Okay, so specifically on immigration, the latest thing that I saw, somebody posted, and forgive me, I can't remember who posted this, where Trump pretty much now he's really honing in on the Indians. Okay, so my behind did not think about it until I saw this article. So we talked about before how he's getting rid of the H-1B visa program, and most Indians from India take advantage of that from the tech world. Okay, then we all know that he is honing in on the Indians with this pipeline. Okay, so me not even thinking to associate the Indians from India, the symbolism rather, with the Indians, quote, quote, in America that's labeling themselves as indigenous. So this particular article that I saw, let's see where it is. Hopefully this is the right one. It was saying that Trump card was pretty much telling the Indians, meaning the ones that are claiming to be indigenous to this land, to go back to India. So I kind of chuckled when I saw that particular statement. So I don't know if he literally said that or if somebody was making a satire joke. But late last year, Trump, it's been brought up how Trump has an in for the indigenous Native Americans. So specifically, this article, where is this article coming out of? BuzzFeed. It says Trump's decade of insults against Native Americans send tribal leaders toward Clinton. So this was before the election. So we are extreme, and I'm skipping down, y'all. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So anyway, we're extremely worried because if Donald Trump gets elected, his history already shows us that We probably won't be able to move forward. Michael Mick Isham, chairman of the Lot Cortez Orioles Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians in Wisconsin, told BuzzFeed News. His comments about tribes and his history with the tribes don't bode well with us. The most recent of Trump's comments that have antagonized Native Americans was directed at Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Earlier this year, he called her Pocahontas, referencing her claims of Cherokee ancestry, which she has struggled to document. Trump has also questioned tribal sovereignty since the early 1900s. 1900s, damn. That too, but anyway, since the early 1990s. that was a slip in my subconscious. My bad, y'all. Since the early 1990s. After the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988 laid down rules by which tribes could open casinos on reservations. Wary of the competition, Trump went on a media offensive making disparaging remarks about tribal identity, questioning their rights to run the casinos and insinuating that reservations were overrun with criminals. One comment that particularly rankled Isham dates to 1993 when Trump told a House Natural Resource Subcommittee on Indian Affairs that people running around tribal casinos don't look Indian to me. 8 years later, he defended that comment, adding that Indian casinos were a scam and that Indian reservations really hurt other places like Las Vegas and like Atlantic City, which pay a lot of tax. Okay, so, then it goes on to talk about the Dakota, the Standing Rock pipeline, which he basically signed an executive order saying, go head on, boys. Fire up the equipment, lay that pipeline right by their quote indigenous land. So, long story short, where I am going with this, Trump knows full well that we are at the age where folks are starting to question or demand that their particular land be returned to them. He knows in particular that people that are claiming to be the indigenous people are not the indigenous people of that land. They were granted those rights many, many, many moons ago. You probably have to go back, I'm saying, starting like around the 1800s. When they started literally, people would pay, meaning Caucasian people would pay, or other people with mixed nationality would pay. That's where the term $5 Indian came from, to get that status, okay? So that's why he was adamant. He knows the game that has been played, not only far back as the 1800s, but even up to the day with the gaming. He knows that all people would do was go and claim that particular ancestry to get specific benefits, whether that be claim to land or these gaming. Okay, so that's what this whole pipeline thing is about. Now, I'm going to say again, the folks that are fighting this pipeline situation, why don't they take the U.S. corporation to the UN? If that is your land, if you are indigenous to the land, why aren't you taking it to the UN? Because we know that's not the case. You would have to prove it.
They got to, hey, man, they ain't finna open up that can of worms.
Exactly.
They've been under that cover all this time. They ain't finna blow that.
Exactly, because you have to prove it. And like you said, Brother Wendell, that will bring up all kind of other things. Okay, so to me, plus we know that these particular tribes, they signed agreements. They signed agreements with the U.S. court, and at the end of the MF day, they are under the U.S. corporation's jurisdiction. So they are not independent nations. They set them on them reservations. To me, it's almost like we're letting you live here, almost like living in the projects. Yeah. We're letting you live here. But whatever we choose the MF do, that's what we're going to do, because at the end of the day, that's not your land. Now, the sad part about all of this, the folks that are on those particular reservations, most of them do not know what is going on. They really do believe that their heritage traces back so many generations, and that is not the case, I would say, with most of them. Now, I've heard different people tell me, especially some of the Moors, that have temples, and some people that have their own nations, have said that they have run across, people that have this Indian status, okay, and some of them even associated with the reservations. That there is a select few that know, so meaning probably some of the chiefs of these tribes, they know that these folks aren't indigenous to the land, and they know that who really is indigenous to the land. And one brother said that one of these folks said, we know that eventually everything is going to come out, it's going to be turned back over. We just would hope that we wouldn't be mistreated, etc. So just pay attention to that whole Trump thing, even with him using the angle of kicking the Mexicans out. It's all about signaling who is really going to scream about the land. So I challenge anyone that's claiming this is your land, because I had a frank conversation with the Caucasian lady, and she got pissed with me. Don't come to me with no Constitution shit. We talking who was on the land prior to all of that. If that's your particular land, take their ass to the UN. End of story. But no one has yet to step up to do that. And that's even going for the melanated people too. That's, going around here with these different nations and saying, nationality this, nationality that. I challenge them too. Take it to the UN. Already something written in place for you to do so. So just keep an eye on that. It'll be interesting. So I'll yield, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it.
There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. You got to deal with this shit straight up.
Yep. I totally agree. That's over. And
I love it.
I do too, because every time I see Trump talking about that pipeline, and I've been following it pretty closely now once I finally put the connections together on what's really going on. And this particular group, it always talks about, well, this lawyer working on it. And I'm like, now I know y'all full of shit. Because if you have lawyers working on this, now I'm not no lawyer. I just so happen to see the UN thing thanks to a brother that posted it out there, put the connections together. You cannot tell me that they so-and-so lawyers don't know that. So that lets me know that they know they can't take that shit to the UN, nor to any other court because it's not going to be granted, because at the end of the day, they have an agreement signed with the U.S. court, and they are still under their jurisdiction. So just pay attention with what's going on with that. In other news, now this is pretty shocking. We talked about, been about a month or so ago, about how overnight the nation of India jumped up and changed its denomination on some cash. And so they're basically forcing people to use banks. So they're sitting up on their behind claiming that the reason they did that because they want taxpayers to pay woo-woo, this, that, and the third. So at the end of the day, the people were not taking that very well. So basically now what's happening, this article came out of Wall Street Journal, that as people rushed to go to the bank to exchange the denomination notes that they took out of circulation, and they basically pretty much was forced to open up bank accounts, the Indian government, they asses, are starting to do tax audits. Okay, so just think about this. I'm going to use this example for my melanated family. You're going to know what the hell I'm talking about when I break it down like this. All right. You know the DVD man. That may not be the DVD man now. I don't even know what they selling now. But you know back up in the day, when you would buy DVDs, that was all cash transactions, okay? You going into the store, I got the movies, 5 for $20, this, that, and the third. People slept on the DVD man, but I used to witness one DVD man, shit, he drove a better car than I did. He drove a BMW. DVD man was making money hand over fist. Yeah.
Pop, get you in there.
Yeah, shit. He was balling. Or like the sock man, the man selling the white socks and a T-shirt.
Yeah,
whatever.
$3 pop, 2 for $5.
Right, and I mean, brother, well, now you remember in the ATL, shit, you used to go to 5 Point, baby. You used to night shopping.
It's jumping off everywhere.
They kind of cracked down in the ATL, but it used to be you could just go there and straight do your shopping.
They jumping off still. They might have made a move around a little bit, but they still jumping off.
So the point I'm trying to make, these were all cash transactions, tax-free. People literally made their living like that. You know, I know someone that told me that they knew someone that purposely moved to the ATL about 10 years ago just to sell T-shirts. And she moved and did the shit and made a living on it. So same scenario with India. These small business people, it was all cash. So now that they messed with the denominations, forced the people to scramble to run to turn in them denominations, they basically opened up bank accounts. Now the tax man is looking at everybody's shit and flagging it. Okay, so basically this article is talking about that it's so many people that now have bank accounts. Now they're trying to determine how to, go through and audit all of these accounts. Because they done made this move to make everybody have a bank account, and they want to audit them to make sure they're not tax evasions, but yet they didn't put the necessary structure in place to, number one, for example, hire the amount of tax auditors to audit it. So the article just goes on to say basically that India was looking for tax money, and then one person went on to say in the article that they really just did it in vain because they'll just pay people off. They'll pay the tax auditors off to keep it moving. Okay, so now that's just the update with India. Now, guess who else this week coming out talking about limiting cash transactions? Okay, here we go. And then it was another nation, I can't remember when now, if that was Greece or France, that I think it was Greece that was also going to start taxing, or it may have been Italy. They were going to start taxing people based on the amount of cash they spent. So yesterday, well, Wednesday, Tuesday, I guess, out of RT News, Russia considers introducing tax on cash transactions. The Russian Ministry of Finance and Economic Development are working on the way to reduce cash payments. Business Daily Vedomosti reports the goal is to move away from the shadow economy and corruption that comes from money laundering and tax evasion. Is that not the same shit India said?
Yeah.
Exact same playbook, okay? According to the newspaper, the ministries are considering banning the payments of salaries in cash, limiting large cash purchases, or introducing a cash tax. Officials want to limit cash purchases of real estate, cars, and luxury items, but the cutoff price is being discussed. The economists are also looking at examples of India and Azerbaijan that limit not only cash transactions, but also cash withdrawals. In January, the Russian media reported the government is considering setting a single cash purchase limit of 500,000 rubles, or that's about $8,750. Minister of Finance Anton Slanovy, whatever his name is, Anton, backed the initiative without specifying the limit. At the moment, Russians still prefer cash transactions. In the first 9 months of 2016, holders of bank cards withdrew 19 trillion rubles, or 330 billion, but only spent 8.7 trillion, or 150 billion, to pay for goods and services using plastic. The share of cash in circulation is about 9% of Russia's gross domestic product, according to central bank. Businesses are complaining about high costs and service fees of point-of-sale terminals in Russia, which may cost up to 10% of net profit a month. Another option under discussion is a differentiated VAT, value-added tax rate, which can be reduced for non-cash purchases. However, this option partly violates the ban on restriction on freedom of movement of goods and funds in Russia, and unlikely to be adopted by the tax advisor Sergey. Okay, and I can't think of that other nation. I'm going to try to dig it up again, but there's another nation that has pretty much the exact same proposal on the table, with the exception the other nation is saying that if you violate the terms, they start taxing you pretty heavily for using cash. So what that is saying is, we've talked about this several times, this is the currency reset. They're moving away from paper currency and putting everyone, pretty much forcing you to use plastic, or quote, quote, digital currency. This is what the currency reset, in my opinion, is about. That's pretty big for Russia. India was the first one out the gate. And remember, India is not India part of BRICS. Last time I remember, Russia is a part of BRICS. Now they're proposing limiting cash Pay attention. This is your currency reset. They're moving everything to digital. So with that, I'll pause, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it.
Hell, they might as well go on the digital.
Yeah, because they definitely don't have.
That's all they're doing is putting digits in the damn thing anyway.
Exactly, because it's not backed by anything. So all they're doing is adding digits to the computer system and then doing the printing machine. And who's to say we may have more digital numbers than we do currency per se, paper currency, because paper currency is more expensive to print. But yeah, you can clearly see where they're going. They're starting to force people into a cashless society. You can see it big time. So pay attention. This is the currency reset. We've talked about how BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, what is it, South Africa? I think South Africa have all started to load up on gold to back up their assets. So this is just another notch in the playbook. So pay attention. Okay. Let me see. Anything else in financial? The other thing that was really, really interesting is in the financial news that Saudi Arabia has started giving their women top financial jobs in the financial system, which blew me away because traditionally in Saudi Arabia, women are suppressed. So it says, for the first time in history, Saudi Arabia has appointed women to senior positions in national financial institutions, marking a dramatic social shift in the highly conservative nation with strict laws curtailing female independence. In a move granted as victory for gender equality, Samba Financial Group named Renea Mahmoud Nasheer as the new CEO on Sunday. Her new role began this week. So their explanation for this, I'm not going to read the whole article, but they're claiming Saudi women are yet another great asset. Vision 2030 details with over 50% of our university graduates being female. We will continue to develop their talents, invest in their productive capabilities, and enable them to strengthen their future and contribute to the development of our society and the economy. Okay, here's what's really going on. If they want to survive, the new financial system will be ran through women, particularly women of color. So they're just trying to line themselves up with prophecy. We've been discussing it for the past 2 months on this show. If you checked out Brother James Dunn's work, you'll enter and understand where I'm coming from. So that is just another indication that we are on point on not only the planet shifting back and bringing the feminine energy back into balance, Mama Earth herself, but that is also the feminine that are on the planet as well. So meaning that the finances, the whole new system that will be built up, will be stood up and ran by the women, okay? Particularly what the prophecy says is really the melanated women. So for Saudi Arabia to come out and start putting these women in these CEO financial positions, I just chuckled. I already knew what time it was. So start paying attention to stories like that. That is huge for Saudi Arabia to make a move like this. This is coming from a damn nation that would not even allow women to drive. Shit, I think they just gave them that privilege, maybe 5 or 6 years ago? So pay attention.
And they can't figure out this shit. They can't figure this out, that this shit is a setup.
So what you mean by a setup?
By putting them in them high positions, they know this shit better go haywire.
Exactly.
Then they gonna put the women in. That's a setup, man.
Exactly. I think, and on one hand, they're trying to do it to quote save themselves. It's not gonna save them because they're not gonna have anything to do with standing up the new system. So if they think they could just throw any old woman up there to where they can control like a puppet, your shit gonna fall anyway. Because, the new system, the new energy will be built on a total different frequency and vibration. So if they don't have their shit together, it's not gonna matter no way. But I agree with you, Brother Window. It is definitely a setup, but part of they funky asses is hoping that that's going to save them, but it's not. It's totally not. So very good point. So pay attention when you start seeing folk put these women in these positions, unprecedented, this, that, and the third, especially when it's dealing with financing. They're trying to get on the game of in line with prophecy to try to maintain some control, and it's not going to work. So that's what time that is. Okay, let me make sure that I covered everything I needed to. This was a couple of weeks ago. I forgot to talk about it. You all probably heard about it, but I'll mention it anyway. Now, this is just speculation. This article came out of before it's news, but they actually are reporting on an article. This was February 4th, an article that the Globe did. So that's one of them gossip tabloids per se. And so the capture reads that Hillary was caught, or I call her Hitlery, was caught fleeing the country to escape jail. This isn't the only article I saw. I saw several reports around that time. We just got busy and I didn't report on it. But this particular article says, we knew it was coming and it is now in print, but Hillary was stopped fleeing from the D.C. International Airport to Bahrain. Bahrain has no extradition treaty. It was leaked that states she was stopped from getting on her flight by U.S. government officials. So now I don't know how true that is. Sometimes, some of these rags, they'll come out with stories and the shit do be true. A lot of the times they are on some BS. But the article says it also claims that Bill has been cooperating with authorities and telling them all he knows about her criminal activities. Why shouldn't he? Because his legacy as president would be ruined. The new February 13th, 2017 edition of the Globe is breaking this story tomorrow. Remember, this is not fake news, and if these were fake news papers, don't you think they would have sued over the decades out of business and 100s of times? Okay, yeah, whatever. They are real news. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that. Okay, so Globe magazine, the infamous tabloid with speculator but questionable stories, is running a page one banner headline claiming Hillary Clinton was intercepted trying to board a flight to Bahrain to avoid indictment by a secret grand jury investigating her. allegedly terrified of being jailed with a death sentence after what they call backstabbing hubby Bill testifies against her. Crooked Hillary Clinton appears to be fleeing the country ahead of a secret grand jury indictment. Okay, so we'll see. In the alternative media news space, it was speculated for quite some time that Hillary was under investigation and either she had been arrested or she was going to be arrested at any day. So that was interesting to see one of the tabloid rags, pick up on that story. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. We've kind of been behind in the news. Let me see. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's where we're going to leave it with the news. Brother Wendell, did you have anything else before I went into two articles that are related to tonight's show? Do you have any other news you wanted to discuss?
No, I got some, but I don't need to discuss it. But I might not be on too much longer. I got some stuff I got to do.
Okay, love, no problem at all.
So go ahead and do what you do.
Okay, I ran across two very good articles, actually, two. Okay, this first article I ran across actually came off of Before It News. The 9 veils placed on every human's soul. So what I really liked about this particular article, we have talked several times on this show about the age that we are moving into now. All of the veils, meaning all of the stuff that was hidden and secret, are now accessible to us all, depending on, the path that you're on for truth, depending on, your vibration level, you are able to start lifting some of these veils. So this particular article, what I really like about it, it literally goes into several levels of veils, and it goes up to a 9 state, which I found very, very interesting, that it used 9 veils being unlifted. So meaning 9 is the number of completion. So let me try to get this article together before it's news. Sometimes their site can be really, really crappy. So let's see if I can get to it. Okay, so the 9th veil, piercing the 9th veil means perfecting the pure energy known as love, thereby, this article keeps jumping. Excuse me, family. Piercing the 9th veil means perfecting the pure energy known as love and thereby becoming truly one with God and his/her formulations. By perfecting this pure energy, one then fully embraces charity and therein gains full understanding of the universal plan of sacrifice, death, and redemption. Life itself then becomes complete. Yada, yada, yada. We ain't going to go through all of that. Okay, so consider this. If this theory is correct, there are about 60,000 people on the planet who have, how the hell did this article jump? Wait a minute, let me make sure I'm on the first page. Hey, that's why it's not making sense. Damn Before It's News. I'm sorry, they got me all the way on the 6th veil. Let me try to go back. Bear with me. Trying to get to... Yeah, this site is really bad, y'all. It's not good like it used to be. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm almost there. Okay. I'm going to try to pull this article up. If I can't get it up, we'll have to skip to the next one. All right. Hopefully it'll let me get to it. Okay. All right. I don't think I can get to it, family. I'm sorry. I'll have to get to it next time. It just will not let me get to that first page. It's really pissing me off, so it's not going to make sense. So we're going to have to move on. I'll try again next week. It's really, really a good article. Check the Truth Uncompromised page. I will try to get it next week, but it basically discusses the stages. Really, as you move through the stages of the veil, you're really moving through stages of consciousness first. So it talks about the first level of folks that just get up, go to work every day. You know, they're really not paying attention. It doesn't matter to them what happens. They're focusing on their family, paying their bills. They die. The second veil talks about the people that's really into the political system. They're either for Democrat, for Republicans, for independents, but they can't quite grasp that they're all one and the same, and it's the system itself. And then the third level moves into the people that find out, wait a minute, shit, they're all the same people. Okay, so then it keeps going down to these veils, and as you get the veils start unlifting, which represents your consciousness, the group of people gets smaller and smaller and smaller with each level or veil that is lifted up. And so it was interesting once you get to one particular level, and shit, I wish I could get the article up, that they said that's when the elite, and I hate to even call a stank-ass elite, cabal, starts trying to go after these people to either try to bribe them, to, you know, shut them up, to not let this particular knowledge out. And then the higher you go in consciousness as you're lifting these veils up, you start to really see how the universe operates, how it operates from a mathematic code perspective, how everything is energy, how things move. So it's a very, very good article, and it kind of, the article puts it into the light that those of us that are studying this particular material, those of us that are into the higher sciences and connecting it to spirituality, that take our spirituality seriously. And, you know, we talk about these other dimensions, these other worlds, how other folks may think what you're into is crazy. And they're saying in the article that that is why, because you're unpiercing veils or layers of your consciousness that they hadn't got to. And some people never will get to that level because, quite frankly, they're fine at whatever level they are at. So very, very interesting article. You can go on Truth Uncompromised Facebook page and find it. I will try to get to it next week. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Before It Is News, why I can't bring the article up. Okay, so the other very good article, and that leads us into the beautiful Mama Earth. This particular article talks about third dimensional Earth has collapsed separation of human species now widening, fabricated reality becomes more uncomfortable. So this article was posted yesterday on Before It's News. And it says we are right in the middle of two eclipses, and we can feel that something major is changing. In December, I shared that come March, the frequencies 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and beyond would begin separating. Okay, and remind me, Wendell, to talk about the Thor movie that just so happened to come on last night. Anyway.
Yeah. It's been a while since I watched that. Yeah.
And it so happened to come on. I'm like, oh hell no, they tripping. So remind me to discuss that because it ties in perfectly. Okay, we are in the beginning stages of this now. We are being shown in clearer and clearer ways what frequency feels like within, and we are being asked to choose where we want to reside. We are being asked from which frequency do we want to create our reality. Everything that will not stand in the higher frequencies is being shown to us if we take the time to simply observe. Observing requires being present. Let me make sure. Can you hear me, Brother Wendell? Hoping I didn't. Okay, let me see here. He kind of went away there. Let me make sure. Okay, I think I'm still connected. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm connected. Somebody hit me up on my phone and let me know if I'm still connected. Let me see. Okay, I lost my board. Okay, I'm going to just dial in. So bear with me, family. I don't hear anything, and I was hearing stuff fine. So just to be safe, I'm going to call in on another number. And my board just disappeared. So bear with me. Oh, okay. So y'all hear me. Okay, so I'm going to keep it pushing. I don't know what the hell happened to the board. I'm going to keep going. All right. Okay, where was I at in this article? Okay, and it is raining. That doesn't help. Okay, I'm going to take a call while I try to get the board together. I promise I will read that article. It's a damn good article because the damn article disappeared, all of that. So let me bring in a call, and then I'll bring back up that article. Okay, 256. 256, your line is open.
Thank you.
Hey, beloved, how are you?
I'm wide awake tonight.
Oh, good. Yeah, I kind of figured you were busy or whatever. You doing okay?
I call in, and sometimes I drift off, and I wake up, and the call is gone. It's like, where is everybody?
Well, that will definitely happen. That will definitely happen. What's on your mind?
I hate that I miss Wendell. I heard him when he said that he might have to drop off. He had something to do. So just in case he listens to Rewind, hey, Wendell, I haven't talked to you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We love Wendell.
I know. So hopefully he's okay. I know sound like he was en route to something, so he may have just dropped off. So.
And the call last week, it was really good. The sister came up with the idea of you guys teaming up and doing something on Saturdays. It's like I'm bouncing off the wall again.
Yeah, sis lioness. Yeah.
I'm like, whoop-hoo. Saturday might not be so boring after all.
Yeah, well, you know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up with what's going on out here and get these ideas in our heads and start floating around. It's like these wicked people with these non-human or mankind, they got all this tied up, and they think they're going to be here in control forever.
Right.
And it's and I think, like you were reading about, it's starting with these BRICS countries. And what they have to do, they have to get control and be accountable for every dime. Therefore, it won't be any human trafficking and smuggling. Why? Because they won't have the currency to do it. So without the incentive, it'll have to go away. They're going to have to get control of their currency, root these sort people out that's doing it, and free all these people that have been held captive, and put these safeguards in their economy where there's no poverty. So I think listening to the articles and stuff and the ideas that are coming forth, I think that's one of the core. These countries are getting together. They're talking. We don't hear it. The news ain't reporting it, but we getting feedback from these different articles and putting the pieces together that there are good forces among mankind on this planet, and they are seeming like working together, and they're talking, and they're figuring out, hey, we got to get control of the money, the currency, whatever people are trading. Make this not, and no incentive to harm other people. No want. If you don't, you must be a demon in order to just capture people and torture people and eat people and drink their blood. You're a demon. Other people are out here for the incentive because they're getting some kind of monetary out of it. So I think that's where we're seeing they're starting. Now, of course, I believe they're also trying to find these real non-human entities, too. They got to find their bases and hiding places and ship shaping and, okay? They got to find these entities to free us. Because I was in California. I went to California, and I didn't know that they were people eaters. What do they call them when you eat people? They call them
cannibals.
I didn't know they were cannibals. And I'm right next to him. I'm reading articles. Oh, he's coming back on?
Yeah. He's on now. He must have dropped off. So he's on.
Hey, Wendell. I don't hear him.
Okay.
So,
he's on.
yeah. There's an article where they have this festival every year, and all the movie stars go. And it's where they carving up the body, and they all got white coats on, so they won't put nothing on their clothes. And who was in attendance? Most of the big movie stars we know, the politicians. Yeah. And I could have been eating while I was out in California and didn't even know it.
Yeah, and those are rituals. What you're describing is what
cannibalism.
Well, it's definitely cannibalism, but the specific ritual that they are doing is called spirit cooking. And so it's broad. I can't think of the broad name right now. That knows how to do all of that stuff. If I'm not mistaken, she was a student of Aleister Crowley. Okay, but you're absolutely right. They have pictures of all of the top celebrities, even Jay-Z sank ass with cheese and grinning up in her face. But that specific ritual, now I've seen pictures of it, and I'm not sure if it was an actual body or if they made up like a cake to symbolize an actual body, and you see the actual blood and all of that. But that particular act that they are doing, it is a ritual to their satanic cult.
Mhm.
and it's called spirit cooking.
And you are breaking up. I don't know if other people are hearing it.
Okay. All right. I'll just have to have somebody text me and let me know if you can hear me clearly. If not, I'll switch to my phone because I got my phone up and running too.
So the other thing that you mentioned, since they've had this sewed up for what, 200, 300, 400 years here, they already know. The people like we call them Native Americans, Indians, or whatever. What we know, whatever. In the event they actually got a signature, it was either forged or under duress. Ain't nobody in their right mind gonna get this pale face, nothing. And this is your land, and you gonna give it up and voluntarily go to a little square corner with dirt, no place to grow food. It was duress or forgery, and those are not legal or binding. But where are you gonna go? And they talking about that UN. They control that so-called UN they set up, 50, 60, 70 years ago. They control that too. So you got all these forged documents that these people are holding. What recourse do you have? That's why I believe it's going to be galactic. Like you were talking about NASA. I think that's a disclosure also about the visitors. Okay, am I still on? I don't think I'm still on. I don't hear anything, Rhonda, so I'm going to go ahead and yield.
Okay, I switched to my phone. You couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what the hell is going on. I have to call back into my phone.
I hear you real good. I don't know about the other listeners, but you're real clear right now.
Okay, I'm not sure what the hell is going on. I'll try to dial back in with my phone again because you all said I was breaking up, so I switched to my phone, then you couldn't hear me. But yeah, I would agree with you that it's definitely the galactic. That
somebody's going to have to help mankind on this planet because they got such deep roots into our every existence. So some going to have to come in and help us. That's the way I see it. Ain't no way we're going to be able to root them out because there's so many different variations of these so-called aliens with their abilities that are beyond my imagination that they're doing and able to do. So I believe that NASA thing is part of the disclosure about we're going to have some visitors also, I think.
I'm with you on that.
And what was the third?
Totally with you.
The third one was, girl, they think that they have done such a job to take everything of this, we're going to say this land, this country, because the other countries now are not going to allow them. Oh, Saudi Arabia. When you were mentioning about them, they're so evil. I didn't know they were so evil.
Oh, yeah. They always have been. But, it just goes to show you how the U.S. corp is full of shit because they all hug, kissy with them. But you want to take Gaddafi down.
And reading articles out there, it sounds like Saudi Arabia, with all this 911 and all this evil, it's Saudi Arabia behind the scene that's manipulating this. And we thought it was vice versa. I thought it was the wicked and their controllers here that was manipulating the other countries, making them do things. But articles I'm reading, no. it's the evil that's coming from them because they're worse. They're more wicked than the Vatican and all this other stuff.
I haven't heard that. Well, it'll be interesting. Well, their culture, well, I would say, now this is just my opinion, they're one and the same. They're, to me, they're the puppets of the West, which we know are tied to the Vatican. So to me, they're one and the same.
I think they are, but what they used to call the big Satan is them. That's what I'm reading. They are manipulating the U.S. and other countries behind the scenes. They are more behind the curtain. Remember this lawsuit where now the ones who lost in the 911 were going to be able to sue Saudi Arabia?
Oh, yeah.
For their participation in it. When you read more and more about those articles of their participation, it seems like they're the ones that's manipulating the U.S. But that whole, like you were saying, this ritualistic thing, Saudi Arabia is so deep into that. And on the surface, it just looks like a innocent, misguided religion that went array with extremism, but no, they're into just like the Vatican. They're all in there.
Yeah, they're all connected. If you were put in power, which they were, by the Vatican, you're gonna be in the same ritualistic stuff that your controllers are in.
Oh my God!
So it's really all the same club. It's the exact same club. They literally have allegiance. They have their own Lord, just like Christian folk have their Jesus. They have their own Lord. It's no different. The only difference is the Christians come out and say, you know, our Jesus, this is who we have our allegiance to. They practice it in secret. So it's the same thing.
So anyway, I wouldn't be able to have a clue. I just saw them as just innocent people in the desert, you know? And I didn't really understand all this shadow stuff, and that I really appreciate these type of calls and shows and the participants who come in and give us even more insight. And the last weeks I've just been sitting back listening and saying, it's like, I ain't got nothing to put on that. It's like, just...
That's okay. Sometimes you just don't have nothing to put on that. That's all right.
But I do believe in the Most High, and I do believe in things that we don't understand and can't see and and I do believe that He loves us and that He wants the best for us, and I do believe He's going to help us.
All right, then.
You know, I don't see it. I don't know how, but it's behind the scenes and it's working. It's working. Just like creation, you know, the 7 days or whatever. We didn't see it, but it came. There it is. And we're going to get through this. I don't know how long. I was thinking today, you think it'll be another 5 years. I think these people, just like a pimple, how it finally comes, rises, and busts. Right now, I think the world is at that highest level of that pimple, and it's ready to bust.
The good analogy, I mean.
Last point. And it concerns the big, wonderful retailer called Walmart.
Oh, but we haven't talked about Walmart in a minute. Brother Wendell's mic is open. He may not be in a position to talk. Yeah, Walmart to me only good for irregular dogs. But go ahead. Go ahead on, sis.
Well, it appears the automotive division may be the division to stay away from unless you're going in and buying supplies, but don't let them touch your car.
And why is that?
Hearing. Okay. I know personally firsthand an individual that took their car in to get a simple oil change.
Mhm.
And when they left, the car is and then shuts off and won't restart to keep running. So call their favorite mechanic, open it up, and instead of oil in there, it's antifreeze.
They need their ass kicked. That's just straight up neglect.
I think it's worse than neglect, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, when somebody do it on purpose.
Okay, so what would be their motive for doing it on purpose? To a business purpose to try to...
Have you ever seen someone who just have it in their heart to be wicked and just low down and dirty? It's like stop somebody, pull them out their car, beat them to death, shoot them, hang them, or whatever. People have this type of spirit. Maybe they thought, and you're guessing, because when you ask them, are they going to tell the truth? Why did you put antifreeze in the oil? Where the oil go? You are a certified mechanic. You wouldn't be working back there in the automotive if you're not. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So
you should have some type of knowledge.
Oh, please. So what I'm looking at is purpose. I'm looking at it goes to whatever they call it. I believe they did it on purpose. Why? Because when we get to a certain age, when we're young and stupid, and we see somebody and just don't like how they look, or maybe we think they got too much, or what they doing with this nice car.
Mhm.
When you're younger, and even when they older, stupidity don't start with age.
True.
Insanity don't start with age.
True.
If you're in a position to do some harm to someone, in your heart and your intentions, and you think you can get away with it, they usually do it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, and it may not just be Walmart. That just may be anybody with ill intent in their heart. But I'm gonna tell you something, folks that are pulling shit like that, they better be careful, because folks are on the edge. Don't nobody have no money for their vehicle to be unnecessarily effed over. They will get their ass whooped. How about them intentions? I'm just saying.
Hey, guess
Go
what?
ahead, Brother Wendell.
Guess what the big picture is on that?
What?
Walmart, at least that Walmart can't afford a certified mechanic, so they're being staffed.
That's what I
think. They put anybody in there.
That's what I think. They're not necessarily certified.
I used to be a restaurant manager, and the first goal was to be staffed. Or you don't make a shit who come in.
Right.
I know that game.
Right, and it could be that the person, didn't have the right credentials, but either way it goes, they better be careful, because they get that ass whooped. Wait a minute, you didn't mess up my so-and-so vehicle? Oh, no. So, but I hear you, sis. I hear you.
But see, another piece to that. It would be more cost-effective for Walmart to pay a damn lawsuit than to keep a certified mechanic on that damn payroll.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll just tell you how management
But that's
works.
how they think. That's how management thinks. I'll take that risk instead of paying somebody, probably a mechanic, probably minimum $40,000 a year.
So you're telling me I'm so freaking non-mechanical, I don't know that antifreeze don't go in the oil dip, the antifreeze go in the radiator?
It don't matter. At the end of the day, when Walmart look at that schedule and they got a blank right there, that blank has to be filled by somebody. In other words, they have to be staffed.
So anyway, the report came back. It was like they were feeling kind of uneasy, because the people were being a little shifty with the service, but they wanted the oil change, and so you know how it is when you go in for service and somebody is not giving you the service.
Right, and you know, me personally, I've been in that spot before. Give me my motherfucking keys. I'm out of here. If I gotta push
now that's
this bitch.
us. We got a little experience, but these younger ones who don't have the experience that we got,
no, you ain't
they
finna
think
get me.
it's going to be okay, and so they stick it out.
Yeah,
they
learned a lesson to follow their intuition.
Oh my goodness! So anyway, that's the first really news that I did not like, that I know firsthand from Walmart. Other than that, I go in the store, I find what I'm looking for, okay, and I do like their choices of underwear and socks.
Okay. I mean, if you gotta go there and you need to stack up on your drawers and your necessities, they good for that. I don't mess with their ass at all, but that's just me. I done said that several times. I go to Target if I have to, if I want to stock up on some drawers.
Target ain't nothing but an upgraded Walmart.
Right, it's just a tad upgrade, right?
and we don't have a Victoria's Secrets anywhere close, so I can only get there like once.
You know what? They got cheap drawers anyway, girl. The price you pay for them drawers, you might as well get them at Walmart. Same damn material.
Victoria's Secrets ain't nothing but a double upgrade of Walmart.
I ain't been able to wear no Victoria's Secret since I was 8 years old anyway, so thank you so much.
Please. Okay, good hearing your voice. And with the Walmart
Wendell, you take care.
Okay, peace and love, sis.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay, that system here a mess. Let me bring in area code 470. Sorry about that. I know you've been holding a long time. We ain't talked about Walmart raggedy ass for a while, but yeah, that person was good, because I would have got my motherfucking keys and let them had to put antifreeze in my shit. You would have straight saw breaking news story, me going off. So anyway, let me open up 470. 470, your line is open.
Greetings, sister.
Greetings, beloved. How are you?
Okay, and yourself. Greetings, Brother Wendell.
What's happening, my brother?
You got it. Going back to that NASA thing, it's just convenient. Y'all personally saw last week the portals opening up in the moon, and then they come with this story conveniently.
That's a very good point. Conveniently, yep.
They know what it is. They know it's the
They already know what time it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Momma black. And this whole patriarchal system is about to fall.
Right.
That's why the currency reset hasn't happened. Ancestrally speaking, we didn't have to work jobs. Mother took care of us.
Right.
Nobody owned Mother. When we wanted to eat, we just simply picked what we wanted to eat.
Yeah.
We had to raise our frequency, not to work for them. They keep us from what our purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like the sister when she was talking about the 3/5, and it's actually 5/3.
5/3, Sis Jillian, yep.
I mean, it's the third bank. If you think about it,
that was a great
currency,
analogy,
the
brother.
bank, that's our energy. That's the real currency.
It is.
Not the paper they're fooling us with. Making us work to build their dream instead of us fulfilling ours.
Right. And decipher your energy, because that's the current system we live in. If you going on somebody else's 9 to 5, they're benefiting the most off of your labor, i.e. your energy.
Exactly.
That's what this current system is built on, and all of that will be collapsed onto itself. So
exactly.
absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
So we need not worry about that currency reset because that's them trying to trap us back into it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Let it die. And as far as for people worrying about the so-called demons or whatever, the divine feminine going to take care of that. That's not for us to worry about. We're supposed to be elevating our frequency to make sure we make it out.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't keep being distracted and keep being pulled back into the matrix. We say we want out, but we still want to hold on to things in the matrix. You got to let it go.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm going to get through that article because that's what that article talks about, that these level of dimensions and how we are wavering. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of months on how we're wavering through these different dimensions, and you have to make a conscious decision. And it is your choice now. Ain't nobody trying to tell you that you got to be on the 5th or the 6th or the 7th. It's your choice. If you comfortable with the way things are, if you want to wait for the currency reset, ta-ta. Who am I to tell you any different? But just enter and understand that there are portals that have been opened with these different dimension levels. And if you are tuned in, you will literally see these higher dimensions. It's no accident with, us looking up in the sky, seeing the moon all out of whack. It's out of whack again tonight, Brother Wendell. Now it then reversed back on the other damn side. I'm like, moon, I can't with you. But anyhow, even with the moon different, and plus I saw that at 3 o'clock this afternoon, by the way. So it was still up, but it was on the other side with the little crescent. Yeah. The crescent was totally on the other side. But anyhow, with us seeing the moon, even the way the sun rises and sets, and seeing different planets, you're looking into these other dimensions, or just simply staring and you see things that aren't supposed to be there, but they are there. That is the time that we are in. It is our choice, which path that you want to take. So I totally agree with you, brother.
Hey, since y'all mentioned NASA, I want to give y'all a little piece of information. I don't know what it'll do for you, but I was going through some of my Hebrew material.
Mm-hmm.
And NASA is Hebrew for lifted up. To be lifted
really?
Up.
To be lifted up.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, they anytime they put some stuff out there, there's even levels to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all code.
Mm-hmm.
It's all code.
Yeah. I think it would be a very good idea for us to start getting into that Hebrew, and you'll find out a lot that they're using off that Hebrew language. They implement a lot of stuff off that Hebrew language.
That would make sense, because doesn't that Hebrew language, isn't it a derivative of we know of cuneiform? So you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, it comes behind the cuneiform.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's no accident to us. So we know just by our studies that cuneiform language, speaking it and writing it, helps manifestation. Okay. It's a science in the language itself, which was the reason why the Anunnaki took it away, because they didn't want that particular power well known. So the other languages were a derivative off of that, Hebrew being one and the metanetter being the second. So that's why
can't forget that Sanskrit now. You can't forget Sanskrit.
My bad, Sanskrit. Right? How could I forget Sanskrit? Because I think that's what they were given once they stripped cuneiform. I think Sanskrit was the one that was given. So, and then everything else off of Sanskrit, the metanetter and probably Hebrew. But the point being, so what we have today, the English language is very bastardized and it's backwards. And it's a language of spells. Okay? So none of this shit is an accident. That's why folk walking around, one of the reasons we stayed asleep so long, a veil of confusion. But as that article that I mysteriously now can't get to the first MF page, talked about, those veils are being lifted. And that is because we are in this age of these dimensions that we have access to. So it don't matter what language they put, how many MF and chemtrails they done sprayed, how much poison they try to put in the food. It doesn't matter. If you raise your vibrations through your knowledge, through consciously taking control of your subconscious, you're going to tap into it anyway. So it doesn't really matter what they claim and they going to do or ain't going to do, because you will rise beyond it. So very, very good point. Because the planet is moving on. She moving on to the higher dimension. She don't give a goddamn who ready, who not, none of that. It's moving on. So these are the choices that we make, and it starts with your thought. If you don't feel you have control, then okay, oh well. It starts within. So very good point, brother. Okay, brother, I'm going to bring on 661. You want me to leave your line open?
You can, sister.
Okay, all right. All right, let me bring in 661. I think this is Sis Sandra. I'm not for sure. Hey,
yes, it is.
Okay, hey, beloved, how are you? I thought that was my girl.
I'm well, thank you. I'm doing better every day. Hey, how are you guys, family? I'm enjoying this conversation. It's really, really, really good. And I'm going to just tap into what he says about these spells and all this kind of stuff. When you use the Hebrew language and the substitutes for us, the Hebrews, they use the Cabal.
Yep.
And the Hebrew letters, Aleph, Bet, and all that kind of stuff, they have powers to them. Or
yes,
energy
they
to them.
do.
And those powers and energy create or destroy.
Yep.
And that is what has happened to us. They've used the Cabal against us. They turned around and used the Torah or the Bible, whatever you want to call it, to use our own spells against us.
Yep.
Using that Cabal. Now, the problem is it's not going to work anymore because their time is totally up. They can forget it. Now, Mr. President Trump sits in front of this plaque, and he sits in front of this plaque with this lady with stars around her head. And it's on the wall in the back. And I understand that's Cali.
Now, of California.
Yeah, Cali. Sarah Cali is rumored to be the descendant of Jesus.
Yes. I've heard that too.
And so he's up there trying to do all these executive orders with spells and casting, using her as his talisman to do that.
Okay, so you just said something very, very powerful there. Which energy is he tapping in to try to cast spells?
Well, if you look at the fact that Callie was supposed to be a descendant of Jesus, and Jesus, the Hebrew,
right,
to the scripture. So he's using the Hebrew energy or the Cabal energy to get his stuff passed.
right.
And you could see there's so much opposition to what he's doing that is not working very well for him.
Right. Well, the point I was also adding on, not only to the Hebrew aspect, but he's using a feminine energy.
Oh, yes, the feminine part. Yeah, Callie. Yeah, that's right.
Makes perfect sense. And melanated at that.
Yeah, she's melanated. She's got the Hebrew, she's got the Hebrew part, and she's a she. And so he's trying to do that. They tried to put Clinton in there because she's the female energy that they thought will maintain
that they thought was the operative word. Yep. Absolutely.
But she doesn't have the melanation that's necessary for her to win. And to rule. But that's what they wanted to do because it was supposed to be the end of them, and they with Obama, of course. But they're trying so desperately now, and they can't agree on anything. They're all in confusion. They're all against each other, and they're fighting each other because this is their time to do that.
Absolutely, it's fulfilling the prophecy. And just to go back real quick to the Kabbalah, Dr. Phil Valentine, I cannot think of the lecture, he did the baddest breakdown of the numbers on the Kabbalah and how they use the Merkaba symbol in order to use these codes for manifestation, just like Cynthia speaking on. Here's the part that was so damn bad and cold about that lecture. I said, damn, break it down, Dr. Valentine. He showed the actual Kabbalah symbol, which is basically the Merkaba, okay? So anybody else that like Jewish star, inverted star, but if you make it into a 4D, that's really a Merkaba. So he, in that lecture, showed where even that Kabbalah, although it's powerful, it's not the all and be all, because you, as a extraterrestrial being, you go beyond that.
That's true.
You have the power and the vibration to fucking go beyond that. And that's what they can't do. And it goes so deep. Another brother said that what happened with Crawley and them, they had Aleister Crowley and his crew, they had cracked the code of that Kabbalah and really started messing around with tapping into the dark energies, doing manifestation. But here's the part. He tried to put some of his people to go outside of that Kabbalah. All of them MFs went crazy, wind up committing suicide, dying all types of ways, and he had to shut it down. Because they did not have the DNA makeup and the vibration rate to operate outside of that Kabbalah Merkaba. So I'm saying all that to say I don't give a rat's ass what spells they write. Okay, goddammit, I'm going to write something outside of that that's going to shut the whole shit down. How about that? That's the stuff they don't want you to know.
That's the creative power we have.
Yeah, exactly. You move beyond that particular dimension, because that is a dimension itself. You move outside of that. You are a multi-dimensional being. You don't have to limit yourself to what the hell they tell you to limit yourself, because they got most folk thinking they're the master of this Kabbalah, and inside that Kabbalah you only have a little piece of it. But when reality, you can go outside of that Kabbalah and jump to other dimensions and realms, and you can shut the whole shit down. That's
right.
the part they don't want you to know. So
That's
with that.
That's true. And then Crawley, I believe he's related to the Bushes, old Mama Bush.
Yeah,
and
Barbara
so
Bush.
you know they've been using that stuff, and even Bush Jr. What's his name? George W.
W. Yep.
He got up there one time and called on the whirlwind in one of his congregational speeches. If that was not a Photoshop speech, I'll say, this idiot is up here casting spells.
Yeah, they
and
do
he
it
did
all
that
the
back
time.
When they started going after Iraq, and he called on the whirlwind. So they've been using magic or black magic. Not, I mean, magic is not black or good. It's just energy.
It's just energy. Absolutely.
It's just energy. It's the being that uses it that determines what it's going to do.
Exactly.
It could be a wicked person who does it, and you're going to get some wicked results.
Right.
And it can be a good person who does it, and you're going to get some good results if they're not doing it for bad. So anyway, that's what it is, and we have that power to stop it now because the energy has shifted into our court. And like Wendell in his, I love Wendell when you do this book, that Lost Book of Inky and all the El Hell tablets and all that kind of stuff. It just cemented and put everything in perspective from everything I have learned. And that was just absolutely fabulous to have that information out there. And I learned so much for it. And I thank you both for it because it was great, absolutely great. And not only just all the things you do on this program. It's wonderful. It's illuminating. It makes you grow and it makes you think. Now, as far as those Dakota Indians are concerned, one of the things there was a brother named King Drop, and there was also Lex Well. And what they did was, I think there was those two. What they did was they had a map, a genealogy map. And shows the migration years ago. And what they showed was that the Indians came across the Bering Strait, and they were a combination of Turkey and Persian and also Mongolian. And they came across the Bering Straits and took over the North America gate and became so-called Indians. And they made it with some of our people, and some of them just came in, like the white boys they're not white. They're not the originals. They came in, the Europeans, or another people call them as anyway. They came across, Albions. They came across, and they claimed this land from that area using, get this, the feminine energy to do it. And that's how they came into the point of being the so-called American Indians or Native American Indians.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, because they prayed to their feminine god, and figured out how to use the feminine wiles to attract the Asiatics or the originals that were here, the copper-colored, as the history books, and get involved with them. That's what they did. They used their feminine energy to do it. So with that, I just yield.
Okay, sis. Okay, well, I'm going to keep your line open. Brother Wendell kept dropping off. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I want to say something about that migration.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Who showed them how to get over here?
Well, the continents pretty much touch each other, even though we think they're so far away, and they just migrated over that strait, that Alaska, whatever thing right there that's covered with snow at a particular time. So that's how they did it. But I don't know who showed them because they just walked.
Well, to my understanding, when the Hebrew Israelites were scattered, that's how we was already here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we evidently brought somebody else with us, or we showed somebody else how to get here.
Well, Genghis Khan supposedly came in and captured some of the tribes like Dan and took them into captivity.
Yeah, some of us was already here. We had already made that migration.
Well, yeah, we were here, but they said that Genghis Khan was the one who did the capturing of the lost tribes, the 2 lost tribes, and he took them out and spread them.
But 2 out of 12.
Yeah, but
right.
Some of us was able to escape that and came over here.
Right, probably came back.
Yeah.
And
I just want to put that out there. That's all.
Yep, very good point.
That's true. They probably came back.
Hey, look here. Let's be real with this.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't nowhere on this planet that we wasn't here first and we showed somebody else where to go.
That's true. That's true. And plus, all these different cultures have supplanted us and took our names, like Mexicans, like
I keep telling y'all, the key to this whole thing is the name.
Yep.
The name is how they got a lot of things all screwed up and twisted.
Yep.
Calling that place Israel, which implies that they are Israel, which they are not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They changed the maps, they changed the names, they changed everything. But Trump knows it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true. They know, and they know what this time is about because everything is being, put back in order. And that's what this whole migration shift is about. Europe is pissed because the Middle Eastern or Africans are fleeing over to their shit. Palestine's still telling it's not real to get off of their land. You have Trump card telling the Mexicans go back to their shit, throwing symbols out there that the Indians need to go back to India. None of this is a coincidence.
No, it's not. It's time.
Everything being shifted back in balance.
Yeah, and look, I want y'all to pay attention to something, too. Now, I could be wrong with the 15,000 left shoes.
Now we up to 15,000.
Yeah, 15,000 of them. 15,000 of them. But that little piece over there where them Palestinians at, they can stay on their side. Because that little piece they call Israeli or Israel, that's going to be destroyed because that land has been defiled.
Of course. That's where they had Sodom and Gomorrah type of stuff over there.
It's going to be destroyed because the land has been defiled. And to my understanding, that land was supposed to be desolate until the end of time.
That's true.
Oh, that's true. That's true. After that nuclear stuff got set off. Yep.
They got set up. You understand what I'm saying? That piece is going to be destroyed.
And Israel is not supposed to be back in the land, period, according to the script.
Ain't nobody's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be desolate until the end of time.
That's true.
When we got run up out of there, that book said it's going to be desolate until the end of time.
And he'll return us to that land.
Yeah. But we already know where that land really is.
Yeah, right. But wasn't that like now I'm over in Middle East Africa though, but wasn't that like where that nuclear war broke off back? I'm talking about in ancient
That's right down the street.
Okay, that's where I thought you was going with that. Okay, where that nuclear weapon was set off.
We didn't have the example. The land got defiled, so they had to destroy it.
Yep, did. Sure did. Wow, very, very interesting. Well, we'll keep paying attention, but just for everybody else, don't think that this talk about land and kicking people out of this and that. That's just the physical story that they're telling you. The spiritual story is the shifting into the higher dimensions, and this stuff will be put back into balance, point blank. So I am going to get to this other article because it talks about these dimensions. So let me see if I can get to this. Sis, I'm going to leave your line open too because this article was pretty good talking about the different dimensions. All right, so cooperate with me here. Okay, where was I at? All right. Where did I leave off at? Okay, we are right in the middle of two eclipses, and we can feel that something major is changing. In December, I shared that come March, the frequencies 3D, 4D, and 5D and beyond would begin separating. We are in the beginning stages of this now. We are being shown in clearer and clearer ways that each frequency feels like within, and we are being asked to choose where we want to reside. We are being asked from which frequency do we want to create our reality. Everything that will not stand in the higher frequencies is being shown to us if we take the time to simply observe. Observing requires being present within yourself and not allowing yourself to get caught up in the insanity of the outer world. The ego may appear to be getting louder within as it is begging not to be dissolved, but to be integrated with love into our being. There is a quality to this energy that is demanding us to be still and really listen to the internal thoughts and beliefs. Anything that does not match your soul, your true nature will show itself. Physically, so many are being challenged. I haven't experienced physical symptoms this intense since 2012. I am finding the need to pull away from all the things where my energy gets pulled. We are undergoing deep cellular changes that escalate the more we embody our soul, which changes us completely and let go of resistance within. Our bodies need to shut down in order to process, and when I questioned why, I heard to maintain homeostasis. I don't know what homeostasis. I may be pronouncing that wrong. In other words, we shut down during these upgrades to maintain an equilibrium within our bodies. If we don't honor this need to rest, to be still, we may find ourselves why did this get cut off? We may find ourselves quite, I don't know why they got cut off. What is taking place is drawing on every last bit of reserve we have in order to maintain balance within our mind, body, and spirit. It is literally taking every trick we have learned through the years to stay present and open-hearted. Okay, so the next one of the article goes into this particular person having a conversation supposedly with Sananda. So anybody that knows that Sananda name derivative, they're linking that to Christ. Now, whether or not this person truly believes that being Sananda or if they're tapping into their higher consciousness. I don't know that, but I do like the flow of this particular article. Okay, so this is the person asking the question, and then this quote, quote, Sananda. Now, whether that be a physical being or whether that be her subconsciousness, that's a separate story. Okay, can you talk to me about what is happening on Earth right now? Yes, you are in precursor time, where each must choose within which frequency is most dominant. When you say frequency, is that the same as dimensions? Yes, but within each dimensions are millions of frequencies, each with their own nuances, their own signature. When you say this, a radio dial comes to my mind. It is us who must tune into the frequency and us who must expand our antennas to bring in higher stations. Yes, that is a good analogy. What one will find is that as they expand their range into higher frequencies, the lower ones are no longer accessible. It has been reported that third dimension has collapsed. Is this accurate? The foundation that holds these frequencies in place within the matrix has collapsed. However, individuals may still be attached to these frequencies within their form. Can you explain this more to me? The hallmark pattern of the third and fourth dimension is duality. Wherever one allows themselves to fall into judgment, they are then attaching themselves to lower frequencies. This is the person making a statement. This is a hard concept for people. We have been trained to see good versus bad, right versus wrong, Republican versus Democrat, etc. Yes, which is why it is so difficult for people to move beyond these concepts, but it is necessary for the forward movement of one's soul. We ask that each person examine what they have been told, what version of reality they have been fed, and to see where it is not in full alignment with their soul. Many will find that the truth is not discernible. With this realization, they will then be able to detach from beliefs that are not held from personal experience. However, there is a great discomfort when one realizes that such grand manipulation has taken place. Some will retreat into their own world of duality and cling to it tighter, while others will begin to see that the journey of truth is only found by going within. This is the person asking another question. Is this why the distortion in our world seems to be getting louder and louder? Yes, in your world, subtleties are often lost as there is much distraction. Therefore, what is inaccurate, what is distorted, must become clearer to be heard over the noise. Okay, so explain to me what is taking place with the frequencies, how this is time to choose. All the frequencies have been available to every person. What one must do is align with the predominant frequency in order to move into that reality. This is still true. However, there will be a separation coming. At the moment, one can feel the oneness of what has been called fifth dimension, while in the next moment, they'll find themselves in lower emotions. It is not to say that the emotions of sadness or even anger are not felt in the higher frequencies, as they are. Yet, how one moves through those emotions changes. Gone is the blame of destruction, lashing out. Instead, these emotions, when felt within the higher frequencies, allow one to see what adjustments can be made that will affect the outer creation of their reality. With the separation of the frequencies, the widening of the gap between each grouping, it will become much harder for one to move seamlessly from the lower to the higher frequencies. Okay, so how do we best stay in the frequencies? Understand that this process through the beginning will take place slowly to allow for observance. One must look at what is being shown to them through their emotions and interactions. Where is their disharmony? Where are their limitations? Where is someone being shown how their beliefs and the information they are allowing in has held them in place? This is the reason why some are feeling such discord within. It is so that they will find it near impossible to stay within the confines of their own fabricated reality. So, from this, the person asking the question again. So from your point of view, all the chaos of our world is a good thing. Yes, it is a very good thing, as it is the signs of people pressing against the chains of sleep. The challenge is for those in the midst of awakening to find their own truth and not blindly accept another. The path of awakening leads to self-realization that one must never give their power away, because to do so is to simply allow in a different form of sleep. So the person asks, do you have hope for mankind? We have tremendous hope for mankind. There are many that are working diligently to infuse your planet with unconditional love. Unconditional love is the siren call to the soul. Nothing awakens another faster than to be reminded of their true nature. It is time to break free of the roles that have been played in this and other incarnations. It is time for each person to remember who they were before these experiences, but also for them to revel in the new richness gained from these roles. In order to do this, duality must be overcome. Okay, so the person says, and this is why it seems more prevalent. Precisely. Okay. So then the person says, so in summary, each dimension has an energy grid that holds it together. Prime Creator has removed the energy grid around the Earth that holds the third dimensional reality on Earth. The third dimension still exists, but the third dimensional reality grid has been dismantled. The energies of duality are no longer supported by the Earth grid or the environment. Those who are dominantly 3D are not supported by the Earth grid and thus are experiencing a void, feelings of being unsure, unsupported, not knowing, feeling lost, feeling something has changed, but they don't know what, etc. Meanwhile, the energies on Earth and the new Earth grid are rising. Those who are with the higher frequencies are finding more support by the environment. Those who are not with the higher frequencies are feeling less at home on the planet. As the frequencies rise, there is a separation of the human species, those with love and those with not with love. As the energies continue to rise, the space between the two groups of humans is increasing. So it is becoming more harder to make the jump from one group to the next. New Earth is only going to be home for those with love. Those who are not with love are being separated from this planet and will be removed to an alternative planetary environment or 3D hologram. Those who are not with love essentially live in a bubble of illusion and will be more at home on a planet where fabrications of reality are supported. It is no longer planet Earth. Okay, so that was the article that was posted on Before It News Wednesday, and it's titled Third Dimensional Earth Matrix Has Collapsed. Separation of human species now widening. Fabricated realities become more uncomfortable. Okay, so I'll yield in case somebody wants to put something on it before we continue on.
I want to say something.
Article.
I want to say something. There was a professor, a psychologist who died in the First World War, I think it was, and he wrote a book. And he said that he was so intent on getting to take his medical boards that he just had that as his forefront. That was all his energy. That was all his concern. And then one day he realized that he had died, and he didn't know he was, but he kept on living that energy to make it to the boards, to pass his medical boards. And he said he tried to get to the place that he was supposed to get to, but he couldn't get to that because he had to stop at this place, and this place. So he stopped at a bar, and he saw people drinking. And then he saw entities in the bar who, every time the person spilled a drop of liquor, they just kept licking it up. These entities would appear. And he went to different experiences. So what they're saying is that if you don't learn truth about yourself and get rid of the bad energies that you have, the drinking, the drugs, the whatever, you're going to take that on with you to your own dimensions that you're going to set in. You're not going to get free from anything. You're going to stay wherever you were when you left here. And so people just think that once I die, it's over. It's not. They're going to put you in a dimension where you're going to keep doing the same things or same energy levels that you had on this dimension. And that's basically what I hear out of that article when you read it. Because we make our own eternity. Eternity is not made by some great person coming to save us. It's us making our own eternity. So if you want to stay dumb and not knowledgeable, that's where you're going to stay, on a planet with a whole lot of folks that's dumb and not knowledgeable. If you want to stay on into alcoholism, and that's your need, and that's what you want to do, that's where you're going to go. If you're going to fight, and always rob, kill, you're going there too. And so you have to work out your own soul salvation according to the scriptures. Every man is responsible for his own reality, and truth will set you free from being trapped in the energy that's not at the right frequency. That's what I get.
Very well said. Brother, did you have something you want to put on it?
What I got out of it was the fact that they kept specifying about the separation of humankind. Now, obviously, they're talking about those of us that have souls, which have been inbred with love. Love has been a part of our makeup before we came here physically. And those things don't have souls, clones, drones, or whatever you want to call them.
That's a very good point.
Also, just taking things back, English isn't the only language of spells. We existed before any written or spoken language.
Tell it.
The way we communicated telekinetically. And our thought process now is based upon these languages of spells which we are under. Even going back to Hebrew, when they first started writing languages, those were spells. You started confining the undescribable. You put labels on things and limiting them. That was part of our fall right there.
Wow.
And as far as for Trump and them using feminine energy, that's the only way you can get through these portals. all those portals that were created up under the patriarchal system have been closed down.
Tell it, brother.
The divine feminine is closing them down. But they still not going to make it through because it's not in their DNA. If you take the Merkaba and the Kabbalah symbol and turn them appropriately, you have a DNA strand. That's what
Tell it. Tell it. Very, very good, brother. Thank you for that. I have to get the explosion on that because you said a few little things. Brother Wendell, I think you still on. I'm not sure if you're in a position to talk.
I'm just listening.
Okay. I didn't want to leave you out in case you want to put something on it. So that was that particular article, and it still goes into play our topic on how we've been talking about Mama Earth, as we talk about us going to these different dimensions or raising the frequency, so is she going through this same she's going through the same thing that we're going through as well. So as she shifts through the different dimensions or the higher frequencies, those that are not in tune with her, they're going to be shaken off or, like that article said, left behind. Okay, so you keep hearing, you hear in the Bible, you hear in other prophecies, this thing about the new earth. Now, some say that it's literally, another place, another realm that has already been set up where people that want to go to that higher dimension, that's where it will be. And then folk will be that don't want to go or not ready to go will be left on the third density realm. Some people say that it will all exist within the same planet, but Mama Earth will be able to keep her high frequency, and those that can't get there will be at a lower frequency. But you keep hearing them essentially talk about this new Earth. So we are going to get into, because last time we left off with Mama Earth, we talked about the history of her that we know to date, coming out of the Lost Book of Enki, the El Holy Tablets, the Terra Papers, the war, and how she was basically broken down to half her size, and she lost a lot of her power. Okay, so a lot of folks feel that this shifting in dimensions that we're having is definitely for her to rise back into her position, okay, to bring that feminine energy back into balance, but also the people, meaning us, would go along with that. Okay, so we left off with a powerful video by Fleur Brun, Fluerbrun, where she went into the Sagittarians, the tall blacks, the wizard behind the curtains, the tall melanated men that were like on the ring of Saturn, that were using the male energy to help keep suppressing Mama Earth's feminine energy. So we left off with that video, and that the second part of the video talked about how the tides are turning and how the feminine energy is coming back into balance. Okay, so in addition to that, we talked earlier about NASA sitting up on their stank behinds, now kind of emitting this new solar system, and we're saying that we feel that is code for Nibiru. Part of the whole Nibiru theory also is Mama Earth shifting her poles, meaning totally reversing everything in the physical, I know Brother Wendell and I have been talking about for quite some time now, us watching the moon, and the moon just, you could see it reversing. It's up in the sky all the time. The crest is like on the opposite side. So a lot of crazy stuff has been going on. But as Brother Sean came on to say, that is really those portals that are being opened. Okay, so before I go into this video, it talks about physical pole shift and how the planet is altering you. I so happen to be minding my business because usually I'll have the TV on and I'm reading or I'm doing stuff for the show. So happened Thor came on. See, we both getting old, Wendell. I told you to remind me about Thor. I didn't forget. You didn't forget.
But yeah, my mind shot plumb out. You know what I'm saying?
That's the energy, brother. As we both said, we're going to remind each other. And then I didn't think about it until 2 hours into the little conversation. Okay, when you get the opportunity, family, go watch Thor. And this one is called, Dark something, y'all. It was the second Thor. Dark something. I can't think of what that other something was. I'm not making this stuff up, y'all. The beginning of this movie starts out explaining about a war, about a galactic war. And the galactic war, the elves, I'm not lying on these people. It says the elves were kicked out. And the elves started warring with everyone. And the elves wanted to control the ether. But they were spelling ether, A-E-T-H-E-R. Just like Brother Wendell say, pay damn close attention how they try to switch up the words. Ether, aether, but they pronounced it ether. The elves were trying to control the ether. And they called the ether this dark force. So they were putting the ether in the light of a weapon. Okay, so then the people that they were showing on the screen, it blew my so-and-so wig back, y'all. They had the elves as the tall, dark folk with the long-ass locks. I mean, nicely built up brothers, and some of them looked albino with the blonde locks. But you could truly tell they were of melanation, okay? And then they had, of course, Thor and them people were mixed up. You had some of the Caucasians playing, like, of course, Thor, and then Thor's father, and then some of the fighters. But, of course, they were all dressed in black. So that always equals melanin, or they're pulling from the power of melanin, okay? So they were fighting the elves. Okay.
Hold up, sister. Go
ahead.
You have to remember, the gatekeeper was a melanated brother dressed in all gold.
Yeah, my man Idris. Woo, that's my man. Yes.
He was the gatekeeper. He was the most powerful one.
It was the most powerful one. Yep, the most powerful one in the kingdom. Absolutely, a melanated man. Absolutely, very good point. So, long story short, so the ether. The elves brought out the ether to try to defeat the folks, because basically the elves wanted to control the galaxy and bring it all back to the dark side. Okay, so one of them, now this is Thor's granddaddy that was in this fight, because Thor's father was telling this story. So somebody said, one of the fighters said to Thor's grandfather, we got to destroy this ether. So Thor's grandfather said, you cannot destroy ether. It's the most powerful energy out there. You cannot destroy it. So long story short, they wind up some type of way capturing ether, containing it, and they wind up winning the war, but the elves got away. Okay, and so going out throughout the story, they had hid this ether, and so it came back, and once the ether got discovered, then the elves came back to go after that ether. So I'm bringing that all up to say that was a good Thor, y'all. When you get a chance, go back and catch it. That beginning is going to trip you out. I'm bringing that up to say they are telling you what happened in the past and where we're going today. That, number one, ether represents the dark melanin. That's the dark force that everything of this universe is made up. So folks are trying to pretty much take or tap into, because you can't destroy it, tap into that ether, just like that article said. When you reach those higher dimensions, it isn't really good or evil, black and white. It's really what is your agenda. So certain folks tapped into that energy, the elves, okay, whether you want to call them the fallen angels, the disagreeable Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, tap into that energy to start to control it to a patriarch society, this realm that we're in now. So I just wanted to bring that up, that they constantly keep throwing these stories in our face over and over again. But now we should be at the point that as you are growing, whether you want to say spiritually, whether you want to say mentally, your subconscious, your spiritual side should start to recognize these things for what they are. Now, I found it very interesting for them to even play that Thor, and as a matter of fact, I think that was FX. They played pretty much a bunch of those Avenger movies back to back yesterday, a day before NASA, Never a Straight Answer, makes this big ass coded announcement. So that's all I wanted to tell you all about that Thor movie, how it was basically about tapping into that melanin, that ether energy, and using that power to control, and some try to control the whole thing in general. So I'll yield just in case somebody else want to put something on it while I look for this video. Or not. What is the name of this video? Let me see here, family. Okay, so physical pole shifts. Bear with me here. Okay, this new system, it takes me a while to find stuff. I may not be here. I may have to go to the next one. Okay. All right, y'all. I may not be able to play that one. Dang, I wanted to go into the shifting of the dimensions, but I don't think it's here. Okay, nope, that one's mysteriously have disappeared. That's interesting. Okay, all right, but we have another one that I wanted to jump through. Let's see if my visions of a new Earth is here. Okay, are you either any of you familiar with the lady called Dolores Cannon? She was an older Caucasian woman. I can't remember when she transitioned. But she kind of used, I think she said, a combination of hypnosis and meditation to get a bunch of information. So these particular videos that I am about to share with you, the title of them is from Dolores Cannon, Visions of a New Earth. So let me get it here. I don't know what the hell be happening to my uploaded videos. Okay, here we go. This one is kind of lengthy, but she got some powerful information. This one is 14 minutes. I'm going to play it. We're going to stop. Those of you that are dialed into the internet, we're more than likely we're going to go into overtime. So I'll keep reminding you, but just get prepared. If you want to listen to overtime, you're going to have to dial in. So this is Dolores Cannon, New Earth, Part 1. Brother Sean, Sis Sandra, I'm going to leave your mics open. So just be cautious of the noise as the video is playing. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Look, not the very latest, because I didn't have time to talk about it, but you can let us know more about it. But I wanted particularly to talk about the different waves of volunteers and the New Earth. And I would like to start this conversation by asking you, how do you define the New Earth?
Okay, I just spent 2 hours on the radio yesterday, and that was what I talked about at that time. In my lectures, too, that I've been doing all over the world, we have been focusing on the 3 waves and the New Earth. Okay, the Earth it's going to separate into the old Earth and the new Earth. This is the same thing that's in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, where it talks about the new heaven and the new earth. That's what it means. The only problem is whenever John wrote the book of Revelation, he had the vision out on the Isle of Patmos about that, the new heaven and the new earth. He didn't know it was going to be thousands of years before it would happen. But the earth is a living being. You know that. Everything has consciousness. Everything is alive. The earth is a living being. And it is getting ready to go into its new incarnation. And it has incarnations just like people do. It just takes it longer to do it. But it's getting ready to move into another dimension. And in order to do that, it has to change its vibrations and its frequencies to shift into another dimension. Now, it's going to do it regardless. But if we want to go with it, we have to change our vibrations and our frequencies also in order to move with the earth. It doesn't care if we go or not. It would be just as happy if we didn't go. But look what we're doing to this beautiful planet. We're like fleas on a dog. It would much rather we didn't go. But if we do want to go with it, we have to change our vibration and frequencies to match it so that we can move into the other dimension. This is a very exciting time to be alive. This is a very momentous occasion. This is the only time in the history of the universe that an entire planet has moved into another dimension. We go back and forth between dimensions all the time, but this is the first time that an entire planet is going to move into another dimension. So it's a very exciting time for the whole cosmos, and they're watching all of this. They're trying to see, if they say it's the greatest show on Earth, can we do it? Are we going to be able to pull it off?
What does the planet need for this birthing to happen?
It's not a reversing, it's a separating.
It's a separation, yeah. You're one of the person that says it's going to literally separate physically?
Yes. From the old Earth and the new Earth. And the old Earth is where all the violence, the wars, the catastrophes, the negativity is going to be left with the old Earth as we move into the new Earth. And those that will stay with the old Earth are those that are still in negativity, the ones who really don't want to change. And that's okay, because eventually they'll all get there anyway. But they will stay with what they have created. They'll stay with the negativity, while the others are moving with the new Earth into this beautiful, wonderful place. But you said you want to know about a timeline?
Yes, that would be great, yeah.
It started about 2003 when it began to do the changing of the vibrations and the frequencies. And it's happening right now. We're in the middle of it right now. The year 2012 doesn't mean anything really. That date doesn't mean anything. It just means that the energy has been accumulating all these years, so finally the energy will be strong enough in 2012 to finally push it into the next dimension. But it won't be something dramatic like pow and we're there. It's a very gradual process. This is why it was begun in 2003. It has to happen slowly and gradually. If the energy were to shift suddenly, it would destroy the body because the body couldn't take that strong of an energy. So it has to happen gradually, and that's what it's been doing. And a lot of people out there probably notice that their body is feeling the effects of all of this.
Yeah, tell us about some of those symptoms of how the body is going to physically change or needs to adapt.
Well, it's been happening all along. These are not, it's symptoms that we're noticing, but some people think they're sick and they go to the doctor and the doctor can't find anything wrong with them. But some of the symptoms that people have been noticing over the last few years, remember this is a gradual process, and you don't have all of these symptoms all at one time. You may have a few, then you may go for a week or two, and you will have another set of symptoms. So you've got to remember that it's not all going to happen at once. But some of the symptoms that people are reporting to me, high blood pressure, heart palpitations, like AFib, that means an irregular heartbeat. They're reporting that. You can see how this has to do with the changing of the frequencies and vibrations. Also, dizziness, depression, those are big ones that have been happening. They'll be dizzy for several days, and then we'll have depression, joint aches and pains. And some people talk about they have the ringing in the ears. That is also the adjusting of the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are most of them. But they go to the doctor over some of these symptoms. The doctor can't find anything wrong with them. Of course, they're going to put them on a pill anyway. But there's nothing wrong with them. It's just adapting to the frequency changes.
Mm-hmm. So do you have some information on 2012 most in particular? Is there a particular significance? Some people say that there is an astrological alignment between the Milky Way, the Sun, and the Earth. Is there some implication? Is there a turning point there? Or for you, it's just there's nothing really special happening in 2012?
I've heard of the astrological lineup, which is significant. This is why the Mayans mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's going to be on that date, you're going to notice something dramatic. I don't know if you remember, while I was on this trip, it was October the 28th, in 2011. Everybody was saying, this is when it's going to happen. This is the real end of the Mayan calendar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They said it's going to be a dramatic shift, and we were going to have 3 days of darkness.
Yes, I remember.
And I said, well, I'm going to be in Australia. We'll find out if anything happens. And, of course, nothing happened. There may have been some kind of subtle changes, which are happening anyway, but there was nothing dramatic. That's the same way it's going to be in December of 2012. The day will come and go, and nobody's going to notice any real difference. But people have asked me, do you have to die to go to the new Earth? No, you don't. At first, you will take your physical body with you. But after you're over there for a while, I don't know how long, your body will turn into light, to be a light being. So there are some changes that will happen. Some other people, I asked them too, do you notice a change in your diet? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are noticing they're wanting to eat differently.
Mm-hmm.
This has to do with the changing of the vibrations and the frequencies also. The ideal diet that I've found in my work is you're supposed to eat vegetables. They say eat live foods. Live foods mean fresh fruits and vegetables. So try to stay away from the heavy meats, like beef and pork. Those are heavy meats.
Mm-hmm.
See, in order to go, you're going to have to shift to become, your body has to become lighter. So you have to eat lighter foods. You can't eat heavy foods that will hold you down. That means the heavy meat. You can eat some fish and chicken because that's a lighter type of meat, but not the heavy kind. And to try to stay fit, to drink lots and lots of water. That's very important if you have the water. There's one little thing in the water that the body has to have to survive, You have to get as much water as you can. But they say eventually, as we get ready to go into the new earth, you'll notice your diets are changing more to liquid.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've done radio shows, they'll call in and say, I wondered why I was wanting to start drinking more smoothies, because this is the changes that are happening in the body.
Do you think that eventually people can live from light, from the prana?
I was just going to say that eventually, after we're over there for a while, you won't eat anything. You'll be living off of light. Now, I had something unusual happen on my trip. I've had some clients who have told me they want to get to where they don't have to eat. And I've been told it is possible. Well, when I was in Sweden on this trip, a woman came up to me and said, because I had mentioned this in my talk, she said, I want to let you to know I have not eaten or drank anything in my entire life. She was a very thin woman, but I got to thinking that it is possible to do that, because I had clients that said when they were born, they wouldn't nurse, and the doctors had to feed them intravenously because they didn't want to eat anything, consume anything. And during the sessions, we found out it was because they came from other planets originally, where they didn't have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So they, when I was in Sweden, I met her, and then I had to go to India. I had to talk at a large conference in Pyramid Valley. It was the largest man-made pyramid in the world, so they had the conference. And one of the speakers, when I mentioned that, she said she had not had anything to eat since the 1990s, and that she found there were at least 30,000 people all over the world who don't eat anything. They see it's going to eventually be living off of light. This is how the ETs exist. They don't consume anything. They live off of light and the energy like that. And eventually that's what's going to happen when we move into the new earth. There'll be a lot of changes, but it's going to be beautiful. I don't know if taking away food is such a good idea. We do enjoy it.
You can't say that to French people, We love our food.
I know. I don't know if you want to take it away altogether. But there'll be a lot of changes like that, and the body will be healthier. It'll get to the point there'll be no sickness. And okay.
Okay. So that first clip was from a lady named Dolores Cannon. She was a Caucasian lady. She was pretty well known on the spiritual scene. I know she's transitioned. She was an older lady, but now she got her information through interviewing other people. I can't remember if it was through hypnosis or meditation. But basically, she interviewed thousands and thousands of people, and they all kept coming back pretty much with the same information. So she pieced together all of that information, and she wrote a lot of books and all of that. So, and this video, I have to go back and look at it. I think it's right after 2012. I had to split it up in 3 parts and pull out the meat to play on this show. But, what I liked about that first clip of her explaining what the new earth is and folks having a choice on going there or not, because if your vibration isn't high, you wouldn't be at the point where you can go. So before I move on, I will open it up for anybody else that want to put something on it. If anybody else wants to get in the queue, press 1 to get in the queue. Okay, so...
Yeah, I always wonder when you have a group of people coming back with the same response. It sounds like a program to me. I mean,
that's a very good point.
To give you some truth. They have to give you some truth because nobody is just going to fall for all lies.
That's a very good point. It very well could be a program that's being run because we do know that happens as well. And, I mean, shit, that's what's been happening for the longest. Just different programs that's been run. But, now that those portals have opened back up and, we're getting the energy from the sun, a different type of energy, and energy from the other sun, those that are tuned in, it don't matter what program they run, you're able to discern what you need to get out of the program, that truth, and keep it moving. So very, very, very good point. Very good point. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next clip, and this one talks about what are the necessary steps or what needs to be done to kind of migrate to that higher dimension, to New Earth. And then the other clip is going to talk about the law of karma and changing DNA. And then we're going to come back and talk about both. And then we're going to end on Dr. Blair, because Dr. Dilbert Blair also talked about the subject of Mama Earth and the New Earth. So hold on a second. Let me go into part 2 here.
Okay.
Hello, Dolores.
And I'm noticing a trend in that way. Everyone is sending me books that they have channeled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either becoming more prevalent or they're getting to the point that they're not afraid to speak out about it. Maybe it's been happening all along and they were afraid to tell anybody. But now we're getting lots of books on this, and it's no longer considered an oddity to be able to channel. And they're all getting the same information. That tells me there has to be a truth to it if we're all getting the same information.
Mm-hmm.
There's no contradiction.
So the communication seems to be more regular, and more people seems to be able to connect and tap into that. So there's really already a shift that is happening.
Easier for them to do it, and I guess they're not so worried about the stigma anymore. What do people think?
Yeah.
It's becoming very common.
Uh-huh. What can we do as individuals to kind of upgrade or to be ready for this change or to open ourselves up to more? Because we're still very much anchored, most of us, in the earth, in earthy matter, and, there's only what's visible. So is there some things that you recommend to open our minds and hearts?
Well, people keep asking me, what am I supposed to do in order to go with the New Earth?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do anything. It's happening automatically. That's why it's happening so gradual that people don't even realize it is happening. But there were 2 things that they said you must do if you are going to go to the New Earth. Because you remember, the old Earth is the wheel of karma. That's what we've been trapped on for all this time, coming back lifetime after lifetime, repaying karma, and we've been trapped in that cycle. So in order to get out of that, because in the New Earth there won't be any karma, in order to get out of that cycle, you're going to have to get rid of karma, because karma pulls you back again and again. When you don't have any karma, you won't have to come back, and you'll be on the New Earth. You won't have any reason, no karma. So they said the first thing you're going to have to do is get rid of karma so that you won't have to come back. Now, the way to get rid of that is to let go and to forgive. I call karma the baggage and the garbage that we carry around with us, the junk that we don't need. And it's what makes you sick. But if you don't forgive the people who have hurt you and the people you're angry at, you got to come back and do the whole thing again with the same people. And I have a lot of clients that say, I don't want that. I want them out of my life. And I said, you better deal with it now, or you have to repeat it. That's the law of the universe. But what I tell people, anybody you're upset with, It doesn't matter if you had a bad childhood. Maybe you had parents that were abusive to you. That doesn't matter anymore. What did you learn from the situation? That's what it was all about. Teaching you something. So what did you learn? And it doesn't matter. You got to let it go because it does no good to hold on to all that old garbage. You got to release it and let it go. So what if you had a terrible marriage and your husband treated you badly? What did you learn? Release it and let it go. You have to, or you're going to be condemned to repeat the cycle again and again and again with the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So what I tell people to do, they say, well, how can I forgive? They said, you don't know what they did to me. I can't forgive them. But see, that you're only hurting yourself by holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, how can I forgive them? Well, first of all, you can't go to the person. It's too hard to go to them face and face and say, I forgive you. It's much better to do it mentally. Besides, some of the people that you're still angry at have died. So there's no way for you to contact them. But the way I say is to visualize them in your mind, the way that you see them. See that person. Now, I've talked before about when we come into the earth, from the other side, we plan our life. We make our plan of what we hope to accomplish, and we make contracts with all these other souls that are involved.
Mm-hmm.
I will play these different parts in your scenario. So you make a contract with these people, and you come in, you forget about it. So you visualize in your mind the person that you've had problems with, the person that you need to forgive. And you say to them, we tried, we really tried, it didn't work. Let's tear up the contract and see yourself tearing up the contract and throwing it away. Then you mentally say to the person, I forgive you, I release you, I let you go. You go your way with love, I go my way. We don't have to be connected anymore at all.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, it's over. And you will notice a big difference that even if the person, if you're still around them, if you release them, they can't affect you anymore. You know, just a game with them anyway. They know what buttons to push to get you upset. But if you let them go, release them, it doesn't work anymore. Then they get tired of it. It's boring. But then also you have to forgive yourself. Remember, you have a part to play in all these things too. So you forgive the person and then you forgive yourself. And you've got to really mean this. You have to believe it as you release them, and you also on yourself. That's the most important thing. Then the second thing you have to do, besides forgiving and releasing this person, getting rid of karma, the second thing you have to do is to let go of fear. Fear is the strongest emotion a human has. If you let go of the fear and release it, it can't hold you to the earth. Fear is not real. Fear is an illusion. Fear is for entertainment purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's real is love. So you do those two things and work at it.
Okay, we're going to go into part two, the last part. And before we do, if you are online, if you want to continue with us to overtime, you have less than 3 minutes. You need to dial in to 929-477-3858. So here we go here. Where is the third part? Okay. Now, I don't know why they cut off, by the way. That's interesting. But okay, here we're going into the last part with her. Then we'll break and we're going to close out with Master Teacher Dr. Blair.
With the DNA, it deals with the changes in the body that are happening now.
Yeah, let's speak about the DNA.
Well, It's also mentioned in the three waves, too, is how the DNA of the body is being changed. It has to be changed in order to have the gradual changing of the vibrations and the frequencies. So it's a gradual process, but the DNA has to be changed to store more information and light as we move into this other dimension. So we are going into, I think they said, we're going into the fifth dimension, but they said some people have already gone as high as the seventh dimension, but not very many, because it's too hard for the body to shift that quickly. But it has to do with the storing in the DNA of light and of information to get us through this time. So there are some chapters in there about how the body is doing this and how we're able to change it and how the effects that we're going to notice. Some people have very dramatic effects that they're seeing in their bodies as this happens, and they're not happy with it. Oh, I don't know, there's one concept, but I don't know if it might take too long to explain it, but it's something that I have never heard before. I've only talked about it on one show.
And how did you receive that particular information?
No, it's because it's very strange concept, and I didn't want to throw it out there because I don't even have all the information. I just wrote what I got on it because it was something I'd never thought about before.
How did you get it? Through other people or through your connection?
Me, nothing comes through me. It all comes from the people I work with, the people I have my sessions with, and all of my work comes through my clients. Nothing comes through me.
As you're doing past regressions and as you're...
I'm doing the therapy as I'm a therapist and a counselor with my work.
Yes.
It comes out during the sessions. I'm the reporter, the investigator, the researcher of lost knowledge. I have to take the information and put it together like a puzzle. It doesn't come through just one person. Maybe that's why I'm able to get so much. It'll come through the same story, concept will come through many people. I have to take a piece from all these sessions, and then I put it together like a puzzle, and I have a different idea this way. This is a lot different than channeling, because channeling is one person. These are thousands of people, and I have to be able to pull one from here and one from there and to get a concept. But the concept was one I'd never heard of before, and I think I'm going to get more information because it's very strange. It's the concept of the backdrop people. And I'd never heard that term before, the backdrop people. This is in convoluted form. For instance, when you're putting a movie together.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I don't know why it stopped. Let me see. Let me try it again because she was kind of going in. I want y'all to hear about these background people. Let me see. Okay, I'm
DNA,
sorry.
it deals with the changes in the
We're
body
gonna try
that are
this
happening
again.
now.
Bear with me.
Let's
Hopefully
speak
it
about
won't
the
cut
DNA.
out.
Well, it's also mentioned in the three waves, too, is how the DNA of the body is being changed. It has to be changed in order to have the gradual changing of the vibrations and the frequencies. So it's a gradual process, but the DNA has to be changed to store more information and light as we move into this other dimension. So we are going into, I think they said, we're going into the fifth dimension, but they said some people have already gone as high as the seventh dimension, but not very many because it's too hard for the body to shift that quickly. But it has to do with the storing in the DNA of light and of information to get us through this time. So there are some chapters in there about how the body is doing this and how we're able to change it and how the effects that we're going to notice. Some people have very dramatic effects that they're seeing in their bodies as this happens, and they're not happy with it. I don't know, there's one concept, but I don't know if it might take too long to explain it. But it's something that I have never heard before. I've only talked about it on one show.
And how did you receive that particular information?
No, it's because it's very strange concept. And I didn't want to throw it out there because I don't even have all the information. I just wrote what I got on it because it was something I'd never thought about before.
How did you get it? Through other people or through your connections?
Me, nothing comes through me. It all comes from the people I work with, the people I have my sessions with, and all of my work comes through my clients. Nothing comes through me.
As you're doing past regressions and as you're...
I'm doing the therapy I'm a therapist and a counselor with my work.
Yes.
It comes out during the sessions. I'm the reporter, the investigator, the researcher of lost knowledge. I have to take the information and put it together like a puzzle. It doesn't come through just one person. Maybe that's why I'm able to get so much. It'll come through the same story, concept will come through many people. I have to take a piece from all these sessions and then I put it together like a puzzle. And I have a different idea this way. This is a lot different than channeling because channeling is one person. These are thousands of people. And I have to be able to pull one from here and one from there and to get a concept. But the concept was one I'd never heard of before, and I think I'm going to get more information because it's very strange. It's the concept of the backdrop people. And I'd never heard that term before, the backdrop people. This is in convoluted form. For instance, when you're putting a movie together. Okay.
I'm sorry about that, family. I don't know why it just decided to cut off. I'll paraphrase for you what she was talking about when she talked about the backdrop people. She basically described it as, if you're in an airport and you see all of these people, that basically these people, it's almost like a computer program simulation. So, you can be looking at things that aren't really real. They are just there. So as she was explaining it, and I just love how it just literally, the tape is still rolling, but you don't hear a damn thing. I just love how that just automatically got edited out. But anyhow, I almost, as she was describing it, I thought of the movie The Matrix, the first one, when they took Neo, when Morpheus took Neo to one of the simulations. And he took him through like a crowd of people, and he was trying to show him the woman in the red dress. So basically, what she is trying to say that the background people, sometimes as we are warping between these dimensions, you'll have simulations like that, the background people, where it's really not real. So sorry that, I don't know, mysteriously how that just got deleted out. But if you want to catch that entire video, I only took bits and pieces from the video. I can't remember how long it is. Her name is Dolores Cannon, and this particular clip is called Vision of a New Earth. But she has a lot of other stuff out there dealing with the planetarian pole shifts and talking about New Earth. So I will yield just in case somebody wants to put something on it or not.
It basically could be real. It could be real. Dimensional ley lines. I mean, you have dimensions in the
Now, you said dimensions intercepting, right? So crossing one another.
Intersecting points where you can go to different dimensions if You're vibrating at high enough frequency.
Now, see, nothing is a coincidence because I'm going to go back to Thor. Go watch Dark Force. It's the second Thor, and it's called Dark Force. Okay, in that Thor movie, what happened, that movie was tight. What had happened was the elves, how the elves was able to start recutting up again because the 9 planets in that galaxy lined up. And the crazy scientist that was with Thor's little earthly girlfriend he explained that when those planets line up, that's when the dimensions cross or intersect, and that's the exact word that he used, Brother Sean. Those dimensions intersect. And that's when beings can jump and waver between both of those dimensions. So that's very interesting that you brought that up. And that the Dolores lady was talking about the background noise. Now, that also reminded me of all of the talk that was going on about 2012. Any of you that was following the metaphysics, spirituality during that time, they talked about the lining up of the planets, the lining up of the different solar systems and dimensions. And in Thor, that their lining up happened every 5,000 years. Okay, so we know that our lining up is what? One of them is like 3,600 years, but the big one where we line up with other galaxies or dimensions and, quote, quote, the big central sun is 25,000. I know, Brother Wendell, you know the exact number. 25,000 is a 960. I forget the exact year. But that's when we lined up with that other dimension, which some say are a higher dimension, and that's when a lot of portals open up, and we are still in that alignment. And as the solar system, one of the solar systems get closer to us, the dimensions are starting to blur even more and more. So that's a very good point, brother, that you brought up in regards to that background noise that she called it, or I put it into the kind of the matrix with Neo being taken to that simulated computer world or dimension. It very well could be us wavering through dimensions. And those of you that have experienced that, you'll know it when you see it. You'll look around and you're like, something is different. This, you could just feel it. Sometimes you can literally physically see it, where stuff will look out of place, or you'll see new things that weren't there before. I literally was sitting talking to somebody one time, and I literally just saw like this wavelength, like this almost like glass, but it was shimmery and wavery, splitting between me and that person. And so I was describing it to somebody else, and I said, oh man, you must have been like on one dimension side and that other person was on the other side. So it's just little things like that. So I'll pause in case you all wanted to put something on it before we move on to Dr. Dilbert Blair.
Yeah, but look at how the character that Idris played, he was the guardian. He was watching different dimensions. He was guardian of Earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He literally stood there and watched out. And remember, in that particular Thor, because he was in the first Thor too, he was the guardian. But in the second Thor, he was standing there, and so he saw one spaceship, and that was the elves coming to attack. And so he took that down and handled it. Now, the thing that tripped me out was when he started to see the cloaking. So he saw past the veil that the elves were putting up. So basically what the elves were doing, and they actually said that technology exists today. And you also saw this in the Avengers movie where the elves had a spaceship, but they cloaked the spaceship to mirror the background. I mean, but he was able to see through that. And he like, oh, hell no, I see y'all moving through there. So, yep, you're absolutely right. Idris, the highly melanated man, was literally the gatekeeper for that particular galaxy. Very, very good point. Very good point. Okay, we are going to go with Brother Dr. Dilbert Blair, our beloved Dr. Dilbert Blair, and his particular video. He has, this series was called The Earth's Ultimate Prize. So this was a lecture he did, I want to say, looked like it was back in the 90s. So I took just a snippet of the clips to relate to what we're talking about, the changes Mama Earth is going through. So we're going to start with part one of that. So hold on a second. I should have looked before I said that. Yep, I do have that video. Hopefully it plays. I just don't know why my stuff is stopping. So here we go.
Constellation, capable of far-reaching things based on that person's or that man's development. Underneath are phylums of animals, some that fly, some that swim, some that walk, and the planet Earth, better known sometimes as the planet Terra, also known as the planet Shan, has had a whole lot of funny happenings going down here, some of them not too funny at all. Planet Earth seems to be at the minimum 6 billion years old, not new at all, as they state. Under Apollo 11 and Apollo 10, they brought back what they called moon rock. They analyzed that moon rock and said that it was 5.5 billion years old to 7.5 billion years old. Now, that 2.5 billion, 2.5 billion years is nothing between friends, you understand? It means that the moon rock was older than the supposed age of our planet, which is 4.5 to 5.5 billion years. That would mean that an orbiting satellite had been in place before the planet was placed there, and that kind of thing is obviously ludicrous. How can you have an orbiting satellite before you have a planet for it to orbit? How can you have moon rock samples older than the Earth itself? So again, obviously either guesswork, lies, or whatever. They don't care because most of you don't question them anyway. Okay? There are stories that the ancient Yoruba people tell, that the ancient Algonquin people, and that's the actual name for the people here in America, Algonquins, Guatemans, and the most ancient research name, and I know if you got it where you got it from because nobody else uses it but me, Incalians. These are the actual names for the people, not the so-called Indians of Columbus. Their stories are replete of a time when the Earth had no moon, of a time when the sun was closer and of a different hue, and that a time when the gods came to Earth, talked when Irwata came and walked the Earth, and the Thunderbird visited at any time. The Yoruba talk again about the Gingwings and the Shishokis and Omaki, the people that came from space, the sky people. The ancient Egyptians, when they were brought into the area of the Giza Plateau and did not build the pyramids. I hate to tell you that, but there's another long lecture. You'd have to invite me back for that one. But it's nice to believe it, and when I'm talking again to people who are prejudiced and white people, I say, yes, the Egyptians built those pyramids, and they were ancient Mesopotamian people just like me, or better looking than me, and so on and so forth. But in actuality, my research shows that when the first of them, the so-called Arabs, came into this land, they were pulled there by a great glow that was in the sky, by a humming and sound that was like bees, and they found already there these kind of pyramids, together with what is called the sky people. Very tall people who wear white robes, gold tassels, and gold belts, and so on again like this. What I'm saying to you is that our Earth is replete with a time when space people or space visitors came and visited Earth, but they had sections that they visited. They had reasons for coming, and once they dealt with that, they either pushed on their way or left markers. Man is hard-pressed to explain the lines of Nazca. How many of you are familiar with what I refer to when I say the lines of Nazca down in South America? Just 1, 2 people, 3 people? No. Well, these are supposedly figures that are on the sides of mountains that cover 30 and 40 miles, things that look like birds, that look like a great big spider, and enormously architectured on ravines, cliffs, so on and so forth. The point was that some of these things can't even be discerned until you go 14,000 feet up into the air. Idea is, why draw something at a time, and we're talking now times BC, when you couldn't fly, that you can't see unless you're up in the air, and there's no way of getting up in the air for man on Earth. Obviously then, somebody was up in the air, and they weren't worried about man on Earth. They also are said, in metaphysical study, to be landing site markings, and anytime you find, and I'm going to repeat this twice, and I'm going to say it very closely, so don't ask me did I say this, I'm saying it, okay? Anytime you find great monuments marking areas in South America, Africa, the Antarctic, or so-called jungle areas, these monuments only state that beneath them in the earth is either a large city or a place where the kind of residents that you want still dwell or did dwell. I summate that by saying there are markings letting you know what's going on inside the earth for craft approaching the earth and coming in so they don't goof and go to the wrong spot. These marking signals had nothing to do with the present people of Earth. It had to do with people that were coming from space using the Earth either as a colony, as experimental lab, or checking on developing species. Doesn't make it seem too good, does it? Not too important. To bring this part to a close, I'll take about another 15 to 20 minutes to get into what most of you have also asked about that do advanced UFO studies, about the aliens themselves, what do they look like, and what are some of the present interfacing with present Earth man, the Earth governments, and so on and so forth. To state that, I have to say that over the last 25 years alone, there have been 9 different species of alien or extraterrestrial, now I'll introduce a different word to you, that have had personal contact with the United States government, whoever happens to be in power at that time. An extraterrestrial is said to be a being who at one time had sojourn or incarnation or lived on a planet either like Earth or Earth itself. Died, and if you want to say was good, went to heaven, and is about the business of still living someplace else that has an interest in Earth itself. An alien is a type that could be just about anything you can imagine in your mind, because there's nothing you can think of that the Creator has not already made. The fact you can think of it proves that. That's often to a lot of argumentation back and forth and debate. If you wish to do so later, fine. You think of it, it exists. That's why you can think of it. The adage was, there's nothing new under a sun, which meant that any time you lived under a sun, things were pretty much already set and done.
Okay. All right. So that was Dr. Dilbert Blair. And the reason I wanted to play that clip was just to reiterate of the many beings that Mama Earth either had come visit her and still reside here. So that kind of also fits into the theory, either she was forced to accept all of these beings and the warring and being suppressed, or she just willingly took them. So that was the point of that particular video, and kind of once again stressing there are many other species on this planet beside us. Some of those species have been manipulating this particular realm. They want to keep it that way for their particular comfort, but it's not only suppressing us, but of course it has been suppressing Mama Earth too. And that's why if you hear the term, hence, prison planet, that's kind of where that came from. So before I go to the next video, did anybody want to put something on it real quick? And the name of that is the Earth Ultimate Prize. It's a part 1 and part 2 to that. He really goes into a lot about the aliens in that particular YouTube video if you want to go listen to it in its entirety. Okay.
I believe
all right.
we had
Go ahead.
I believe we had something to do with that. We were supposed to be her guardians.
I totally agree with you.
She failed.
I totally agree.
That's why it's our purpose and duty to get back in harmony with her, to rise with her.
Absolutely. I agree. Some type of way we didn't do our job in helping defend this realm, protect this realm, and the L's, the other L's, because we are L's ourselves, the other L's pretty much took control of it as well. So I'm the patriarch L's, and in that video we played last week with Fleur Burns, she talked about the patriarch L's, melanated beings, that male energy.
More.
Yep.
She said
that took that control. Yep. That took the more dirty Moors that took that particular control. And in that video, the sister went on to say is that, you know, they really have no regard for the woman, not that they're gay or anything like that, but they prefer just that male energy. You know, the woman is used to serve their particular purpose, but she is to be controlled. And lo and behold, that is the patriotic society that, you know, we have been in. So they were controlling Mama Earth and took control of the frequency, vibration, and hence the people as well. And that is what we're now breaking up out of as the vibrations are rising. But yes, I totally agree with you, brother. Okay.
See, another thing.
Go ahead.
One other thing. Our people have to realize that melanated beings had to be behind the fall, because it takes gods to take down gods. It's not our creations that's taking us down, it's us. We
Say
are
that
our own
again.
worst
It
enemy.
takes what to take down what?
It takes gods to take down gods.
Exactly. So when we talked about that ether, and we know ether is the melanin, and melanin cannot be destroyed. And if you come from that ether, then why would it be not other melanated beings that are the opposition of keeping the patriotic society or keeping everyone suppressed to a lower realm for control? That is only the logical conclusion. I'm sorry. So, you know, whoever don't agree, you certainly have your right not to agree, but that's what logic tells me. If the ether cannot be destroyed, if the ether is the all within all, if the ether is melanin, then it has to be melanin beings that are suppressing or that set up this particular structure that we're under now. And it's going to take melanin beings to shut it down. So
exactly.
I totally agree with you, brother. Totally agree.
The scales in my heart are balanced. It recognizes both dark and light.
Absolutely.
In this world
male
of duality,
and female. Exactly.
It's a matter of balance.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I am going to play the second part of the clip where Dr. Blair gets a little bit deeper into Mama Earth. So let me see. I had it here. Where it is. Okay, here we go.
Follow it completely, or you will perish or live based on your concept. I mean by that, for the kind of people that you're talking about to reach down and pluck you up and help you, you must have your vibrational rate, what they call your chakra centers, your upper glandular areas, spinning 3 times faster than your lower centers. Or else when they pull a teleporting machine on you, or they put in what they call a lifting phase rod on you, you would disintegrate and burst, just like in the movies when you see what happened in The Fly. They're always trying to tell you what's happening, but we don't understand. Or you'd mutate. So, unless you can do this, you can't even be beamed aboard. If there are such things as these crafts that you see around, which have been analyzing, they know more about you than you know about yourself, by the way. They know where your colonies came from, they know who you are, they know your genetic RNA, DNA pattern, they know your thoughts, because the thoughts always rise. Those that are good go out the furthest from Earth. Those that are heavy stay the closest in. They can just analyze an atmosphere and tell the combined thought of a people. The cities carry a smog or halo over them. If you go out and look at it from the highway, you wouldn't want to drive into the cities because of the dense dross that's there. When you see a city that doesn't have it, go live there, because it means at least the vibrations are clean there. As Earth cleanses itself, then you automatically separate yourself out from that is negative and become that is positive. You stop being the viruses and cancers and begin to be the aerobic bacteria, migrating to a new Earth, and you will be protected, because the bloodstream of the Creator always protects those cells that are following directions. And that's all you are. It's units of consciousness, electromagnetic units of consciousness in the bloodstream of the Creator. If you don't follow it, you poison your cells, you poison your organs, you poison your constellations, and the Creator tries to eliminate you because you're not following orders. Toward that, He has plenty of policemen come out and get you. You say this is way out. You know it's not, it's way in. It's internally what you must believe and live with that makes you what you are. You cannot lie to yourself. They say in judgment, a person's record plays before them simply because on your neuron centers, at your synapse points, everything you've done is in consciousness there. You can lie to everybody else in the world, but if you lie to yourself, you're already lost. And therefore, you will tell on yourself. You will judge yourself. You don't need a judger, a grim reaper coming about. You will automatically know. And automatically, that lowers your vibrations. If you raise your vibrations, you can join what is called the planetary brotherhood. Some of those spaceships you see out there are good. Some of those spaceships you don't even want to get within 1,000 miles of. All that flies is not good. All that glitters is not gold. Don't just run the spaceships to saving things. Some of them are very deadly. But the ones that you might want to approach are electromagnetic in nature. They cannot touch down on the Earth because it takes a tremendous amount of energy to free themselves from that kind of a low vibration. The ones that you don't want can land anywhere. They're the electric ones. Okay? Therefore, the ones that are electromagnetic do not touch down. They either send out scout ships or rays or beams which can attract you into it or levitate your electromagnetic field, and you just simply molecularize inside. That's what a high spirit can do. A low spirit is so pragmatic, so grounded in animals, so grounded in material thoughts that it's so tightly held together that it would rather break than give and flow. It would rather yang than yin. Consequently, that is the problem now. This is why they're fighting to put into your bloodstreams things that will make your blood vibrations low, into your children, who are the best processors of melanin and this kind of things that will make their vibrations low, things that will make them suffer as their people will suffer because of the lack of vibration. It wants to lower the vibration, extract from you the glandulars to help them to survive. That's why, again, I say, and I'm not naive, I'm anything but naive, that some of these serum inoculations, it is not worth sending your kid to school for. Now, I'm not going to say that Blair got up here and said, everybody keep their children out of the Atlanta school system, public school system. I'm saying, if you're sending them there for education, send them wherever they may be educated, not trained. If it takes shots in the arms in order to be learned, take them possibly where you don't have to get shots in the arm in order to learn. And if you're afraid of going to jail, then understand this, you're going to go to jail anyway down the line anytime you take a stance for good. Or you're going to be approached, because they don't want good people. They want followers. They want adapters. They want slaves, once again. The Earth is said by 2012 to start all over on a 1,000-year cycle. This is already 1993 in the middle of the year. By the year 2000, you won't recognize your planet. As these changes take place, people will begin to change. Psychic ability will become a way of life, because those that are there will raise the blood rate, the glands click in, and as the Earth now takes away its protective ozone layer and its protective oxygen layer, it will let the kind of radiation come in to let you begin to do what you used to be able to do. Lifting and using kinetic force to lift objects will come again to mankind through the glands. But you cannot possess these powers or do what it says unless you can clean the body enough and the mind enough and the spirit enough so there's no resistance to let that kind of energy flow through. The end result will be with Earth will take its place in the planetary brotherhood. Toward that end, talk of the serpent people, I'm well aware of, talk of the 13th planet coming around, talk of the showdown between the gray men and the Iranian and Syrian people, all this will take place. It's already taking place. That's why they're seeing so many of the mutant ninja turtles and all the reptiles, that they're preparing for the return of the serpents. But understand, these serpent people are very wise, very smart, with all kind of weaponry you wouldn't imagine. And the only force in this constellation that could stand against them will be the Syrians. And unless you can begin to clean up that act, they can't come to your defense. And in fact, all they'll do is send their little shock troopers, the little grays, which will be enough to eliminate most people who won't vibrate correctly in the first place. That showdown is a whole different way of talk. But understand that the vibrations that you're hearing and seeing are leading up to at least an 18-year period when everything you wanted will be true. But just as in the free radicals, it's got to get worse before it gets better. I thank you very much. May the Creator bless you.
All right. So that was Dr. Dilbert Blair. The name of that video is The Earth's Ultimate Prize. There's a YouTube video out there, part 1 and part 2. It's pretty lengthy, but he goes into a lot of details about the different alien species. I just picked out the clips in regard and pertaining to Mama Earth, the many visitors that she's had, and also he reiterated about the raising of your vibration in order to participate in the higher dimensions and dealing with the higher beings. So I'll pause just in case Brother Sean or Sis Sandra, you wanted to put something on it. And then anybody else, if you want to get in the queue, press 1 to get in the queue. So I'll pause in case either one of you wanted to put something else. Or not.
What? And I have to say, it's very informative because we have this copper hair, this curly stuff, and then there's transmissions that's coming in, and one of the things that I know of is that they're going to have to lift us off of this planet because there's going to be kind of like a self-destructing phase coming for the planet. And he said something that was interesting that I always wanted to know if that was true. If they're going to touch down like they have in all these movies that they're touching to pick up people, like Independence Day.
Right.
And I was like, no, I don't think they're going to do that. That's not what they're supposed to do. We're supposed to be able to, and Dr. Phil, I think, is talking about this, as we get closer to that galactical center where the change in dimension, he said, comes, then we're going to be able to levitate back ourselves off of this planet because the gammas and stuff are going to come and heal us of our diseases that we've contacted from all the vaccines and things they've been doing to us. So that was really interesting to hear him say that they're not going to touch down because it's going to be too difficult for them to pull themselves up from this electromagnetic 3 dimension. I was that piqued my curiosity, and it satisfied a question I had. Thank you.
Okay, and it's interesting that you talk about that because I was having this conversation with someone about when you do astral travel, and some of you will be able to relate to this because, some of us have already had experiences of being on those crafts.
Right, exactly. Like,
but instead of doing it, physically, you're doing it astral travel. I mean, I know personally, I've done it 3 times, and recognize folks that was on the craft too. So that makes total sense on what he's saying. So let me go to 347. Let me hold on a second. Or wait a minute, that might be that's you, brother. Aren't you 347?
No, 470.
Okay. All right. So that's not. Okay, hold on, 347. Okay, I don't know where you. Okay, you moved up to the top. Okay, here we go. Okay, 347, your line is open.
358.
Well, it's showing up 347.
Is it I? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, 358 is your first
all
part
right.
of your number. I was going by your
Peace
area
of love.
code.
How are you, Rhonda? Peace
I'm
of love.
doing
How you
well.
doing, Wendell? Peace
Thanks
of love,
for
all on the line.
Peace and love, beloved.
It's very interesting how information come to you that draw you to other information, that it all just seems so on time. It comes like it's supposed to. That's the beauty of thought and thought patterns and thinking. Now, that the other caller just before me was spoke on the electromagnetic thing, but what she said was quite different from what I heard. In other words, the electromagnetic ships that could not land because of all the drudgery of landing. It's not that it didn't really have the power to, it's that it wouldn't drop itself down that low. It's like those that are here, when we can't rise if our thoughts keep us held down. This is the difference to me between the higher self and the lower self scenario, is that, like when you were talking about the intersection of the planets, and how because of that intersection you had those vortexes where different beings can come through and back and forth. Those are like that makes it like a bridge, so that then maybe in a situation like that, those who would normally not be able to rise have a bridge to walk on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
sense.
The difference between gravity. Gravity holds you down because of the weight, the karma, the baggage.
Wow.
But that electro portion of the magnetism, that's the higher self now grabbing you up and releasing some of that stuff that would hold you down. So when he says, I think that was Dr. Blair who was just saying, don't just run to any ship. He says the ones that can't land, those are the better ones to go to, but they ain't gonna take you if you got too much
baggage
stuff holding you down. And that's the difference. And the other thing is that that New Earth thing and all that, those things that have been part of written prophecies, and realizing that significance of the two L's that you mentioned, which is so fantastic, and the fact that yes, melanated have to be, and the brother brought out the fact that it takes God to bring down God. So yes, now the thing that came to me today was it was titled NASA hiding something about the poles, and it was a 14-minute video that was showing how when they were flying over the pole, one of the poles, I forget whether it was north or south, but how the NASA individual was actually obstructing the camera so it wouldn't show the hole. There was a hole inside of the pole, and it is said that it's believed that it's inside both of the poles, and that's where you get into the hollow earth. And then it reminded me of it was showing some rings of lights and things of that nature within, and it was showing how they don't let airplanes and pilots and things fly over those areas. Whether it's because they don't want them to see it or not, well, that's, everybody has to figure that portion themselves. But they also added some interesting factors, like a Navy crew testimony that he lost half his crew traveling over waters near one of the poles, where flying saucers and whatnot actually wiped half his crew out. They had another, I think this was a air platoon that actually flew into the hole and wrote back that they didn't think they wanted to come back out. So, we got a whole lot of things that, and see, now this is also moves into the portion where we talk about the ethers. And what we're rarely talking about when we talk about the ethers, if we really look at it, what we're talking about is how they took spirituality out of things.
Yep.
What we're talking about is how our true power is within and why, and how we're so connected to the ethers, but if we don't know anything about it, we have tools now that we can't use.
Exactly.
So those ethers, that's the very important other knowledge that would make it so that, when we talk about what we have to do about those elves who try to keep us in the dark, we don't have to do nothing with them. All we have to do is become aware of the light. And our awareness, our conscious awareness of the light means that then we begin to realize and utilize the light as opposed to the dark that we've been hanging on to like it was all. And that's the difference right there. So we become who we are once again, because now we're aware that we're more than what we were told we were. And that's the battle being won. And that's the side of to let you know that love is the greatest power. That's the side that lets you know that there is a greater power than anything else. And that power has somewhere in that greater definition that no one can define of love, how that works and how it's connected to the ethers. So I mean, it's all beautiful. I love this whole conversation that y'all having, and I just was saying though, damn, I ain't hear Rhonda get so raw before. Stop it.
Yeah, I don't know where you been. I'm always on something extra. I'm always on something extra. So you must have been tuning in on me being nice for whatever particular reason. But I'm usually
I haven't heard you in a while. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly good to hear your voice, brother.
I love y'all much, but that was my little 2 cents.
Very, very good input. Okay, thank you for putting something on it, brother.
Hey, Ron.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
When Dr. Blair was talking about those ships that won't touch down, go and watch this movie that's called Arrival with Forrest Whitaker in it.
Is that the new one?
Yeah, that thing right there. Those ships came down and they would not touch down.
Okay, I've been trying to watch that too. Okay.
Yeah, they stayed something like I just have to guess it at maybe 7 or 8 stories off the ground. And what they did is brought a universal language down here.
Interesting. And I'm going to, if next week, I think it was Sis Flora Byrne talked about this element that they've been putting, the galactics have been putting on Mama Earth. She called it black goo. And it almost mimics oil, but it's not. It's kind of sticky. And what it's doing is they've been placing that across the planet to use as an energy source for their crafts because they didn't want to take her oil because that's her blood. So they know that they couldn't do that. So they've been placing like this stuff called black goo across the planet. And it was interesting because when she talked about this black goo, and I don't know if I dreamed it or if I physically saw it, but I remember seeing this type of element before that's like black and like sticky, almost like a tar. But anyhow, she was saying that the galactic have been placing that around the planet so when they hover down, they can draw off of that as an energy source. So that's really, really interesting. I'm going to check out that movie, The Arrival, also. So
I find that black goo suspicious because they've been showing us that in movies. It becomes the eyeballs of these so-called evil beings. Even on Spider-Man, that black goo turned into carnage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the movie... Shit. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Lucy.
Yeah.
Did not Lucy at the end turn into black goo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so very interesting. I'm going to find that video and I'll share that next week with the family on the energy, that black goo being an energy source for these spacecrafts. But yeah, that's real interesting that we're hearing that they're not going to necessarily touch down. But when Sis Sandra was talking earlier about us being levitating up, I've heard that particular theory as well, and it also ties into some of the different prophecies that are out there. They're really saying the same thing, that folks will be taken onto these crafts. And while you're on these crafts, you're getting training. A lot of other stuff is going on. So it may seem like 2 to 3 months for us, but on the meantime, in the dimension, it was thousands of years that have passed. so while, folks are on these crafts, that's when the wars will be jumping off, folks destroying themselves, the planet totally cleansing and healing herself. So those are some of the other theories that I've heard as well. So, but very good point.
I really don't think that any of those ships are physical ships. It's energy, light-bodied beings. That's why he was saying we have to vibrate at a high enough frequency.
Higher. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all we're doing is docking with the mothership. All we're doing is docking with the mothership. That's why it doesn't land, because it's pure energy. It can't exist within the. It can't exist in the low vibrational realm without destroying it.
I would tend to agree with you on that, only because of just, again, my personal experience with astral travel. And 3 times, I could really say 4 times, personally being aware of being on these particular spacecrafts. And the first time I totally didn't understand what was going on, but the other 3 times I was very, very much aware of what was going on, and other people from this particular realm were on there with me. So I would tend to agree with you, brother. I would agree with you. It would be more of your light body versus physical. But on the other hand, we will soon find out also, right?
Exactly. But also, as far as for going off into the ether, I mean, light came from darkness. Darkness always existed. It's a part of who we are. Ether,
right.
Melanin is darkness. It's a matter of learning to master it and embrace it within self. They use, quote unquote, darkness to scare us. Darkness
right.
is who we are. We're the chaos beings, and we're the new order. We created everything.
Right.
And we feel who we are. To become gods again, we have to be complete beings. We've been here many times before. We've been on both sides. We've been good.
Right.
We've been so-called evil. We're here for the experience to become complete beings again.
Right. Right.
We have to rise above this to become gods again.
Right. And some would even go as far as to say, I think Brother Bobby Hemmett said it all the time, that a lot of those other L's, that's why also they wanted to keep us suppressed in the lower density realm, because once we start coming out of it, that we would be stronger than they are, because we went to the lower vibration realm.
Exactly.
And, had our memory wiped away and had everything stripped from us. So, we would come out stronger. And that is not what they want, because they didn't go through that cycle of incarnation or reincarnation, getting everything stripped from them. They still operated using that dark force. When we totally went to sleep, forgot about it all, and had to come back out of all of that, and so we're going to rise even stronger. So very, very good point. Very, very good point. Because remember when I talked about that Merkaba and us realizing that Merkaba within itself can be a trap, but you are a multi-dimensional L. You're a God body being. You are a part of that ether. You come from that ether, so you can rise out of any of that. So you're absolutely right. It is really going back to that darkness and learning to tap into that darkness, because that's how we've been being defeated. We, basically the other L's, the disagreeables, however you want to call them, have been using that same dark ether all along. And so it is up to us, the elves, to rise up and be like, oh, okay, I get it, player. Well, this is how this story is going to end. I'm getting ready to tap back up into this also. So absolutely, brother. Very good point. Very good point.
They feeding off us. They're the ones in the positions of so-called royalty and celebrities and this, that, or the other, living at the expense of the common man.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know we're about to cut off. Just to remind, I want to thank everybody. Thank you, callers. Very great insight. Thank you, Brother Wendell. Thank you, Sis Sandra. Thanks, Amira. Thanks, brother that just came back and put something on it. Thank you, Brother Sean. We're going to be back next week, and the brothers start talking about hollow earth. We're actually next week going to talk about flat earth. So it's going to be on and popping. I'm looking forward to that next week. So we're going to sign off with peace, love, truth, freedom, and justice. One heart, one mind, one spirit.
One mind, one spirit.
Okay. We're going to rock out with some music. I know we're going to get cut off because we don't have much time. I love you very much, family.
Love you too.
Still alive.